That's how I'm going to do it on the actual episode.
So
Thank you.
We are live. Awesome.
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 Hey Keith, how's it going? Didn't take you long to jump in here, did it? Did you?
That is not us.
I could tell.
Okay, Jason. Out.
There's my thing here. And it disappeared. Fun. That's because it's way up there. That's right, I've got to find it in the... Find it right there. Start. Apparently one of us just picked a booger. I don't know if it was me or you. I wasn't paying attention.
Say what?
It's what my boss in the chat just said.
Okay.
And there you go.
Is that better? Is that better? Crack the gold one.
All right. Crud. Now, of course, it's going to itch.
Of course.
It's a good part. Good thing this is the part that gets edited out.
Oh.
And we haven't figured out. Well, we haven't figured out how to get the live video off Facebook yet.
We'll work on it.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you just can't help but itch. Or scratch.
That is very true.
You just don't want to do it on, a public forum.
So, let's see. How am I going to introduce you with this movie?
That is an interesting question.
What am I doing? Okay, I think I got something for you. Watch. Okay, so we got both watch parties going now.
Both watches are going. Tick, 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 tick.
So I should go ahead and make sure
we're recording.
The audio recording is going.
Yes.
Audacity will open.
Yes.
I'll put that over the side so I can see everything. Okay, check. All right, we got good audio.
Hey, everybody on Facebook. Hey, we are about to do a review on Disney's classic Fantasia, circa 1940. And so if you have any fond memories, favorite moments, likes, dislikes, what have you of this film, let us know down below in the comment section on either our page, our Facebook page, or in the watch parties that where you're watching. And so let us know, and you might possibly have your comment read during the live stream.
Now, to be completely honest, we are technically watching the 1969 version that has the Centaurette censored out that was perpetuating blackface.
Yes, pretty much.
Poor Sunflower.
Yes, I just learned about as I was writing my review, I was like, oh, who's this character? It was like, oh, okay, that makes
sense. She was an unfortunate decision.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, let's say that. Very.
But we'll get to that when we get to the Pastoral Symphony.
Yes.
I have what might be a somewhat controversial opinion.
Oh, interesting.
But it's one of those things where I agree that it was a bad decision.
Yeah.
However, since it is still censorship after the fact, and that's where my ire grows.
Mm.
It's the same reason I wish Disney would just own up and put Song of the South on Disney Plus, even though they don't. It's the same problem.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah. All right.
You get a lot of people.
Yeah. Hey, Chad. Oh, hey, Chad Bixler. Hi, Chad. Kevin, how are you? Go Jung. How are you, sir? And Mr. Andy. Hello.
Okay. You think you're going to be ready to start when that clock down there says 8:20? It's in like 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we are recording. We're recording here.
Yep. Everything is going. We're just
waiting on time.
Waiting on time. Don't you hate it when you see something pop up and it's actually nothing?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like, Nope, somebody saying something?
No. Anybody? Keith Hill.
Yeah, that's my boss.
Oh, that's your boss. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hi, Keith. Yeah, Drew's an amazing guy. Let's just say that. Why? I'm being honest.
I just don't know how to respond to that is the problem. But then I've never been good with compliments. So.
Right, me either.
Anywho, I look a little high. It's a little
Maybe.
high. Let me bring it down.
Hello.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
I need to keep a better eye on that anyway, even though the compressor usually catches it.
Yeah.
But once it clips, there's no unclipping it. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Since you've been doing a little bit of editing.
Yeah, a little bit.
For an upcoming project we will talk more about later.
Yeah.
A lot later.
Attractions to come.
In Season 3.
In Season 3, yes. In Season 3.
Which starts in February.
Yes. So we're looking at, right now, 7 months.
Mm-hmm. All right, it is 8:20, so let's go ahead and get started on this thing. Starting in. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who just can't stop. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who just can't stop tapping his foot, Jacob.
Well, I'm kind of like Thumper. I can't stop thumping.
As long as you don't do it on the mic stand, I won't care.
Oh, man, not again. Yeah, exactly. Why, thank you. I'd like to introduce our co-host, a man, to quote another Disney classic, kind of like the Centaurs from one of our segments. Can you feel the love tonight?
Oh, welcome, Drew. For those of you trying to figure out what we're talking about, later on in this episode, we will be reviewing the Disney classic Fantasia. But first, Jacob, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Actually, very interesting note for our audience.
Mm-hmm.
So, before coming over here, I was running like an hour and a half behind.
Right.
Which I do apologize for. Mm-hmm. Just life gets in the way, definitely when you're trying to work on stuff, and then this and this after working at 10 hours.
And it doesn't help that you've got the attention span of a squirrel.
Exactly. Let's go by him.
I'm quoting him, by the way.
Yes, he is. So he's most definitely quoting me.
Nobody get mad at me.
All right. Yes, I do describe myself as a squirrel with my attention deficit disorder. Or hyper.
Eventually, we'll have to get to that movie.
Yes, one of them. Wait, what movie are you talking about? Squirrel! Exactly. All right. So I'm sitting in my apartment getting ready. I'm done my notes. I'm watching Disney Plus. I'm not rewatching the movie, obviously, that's a 2.5 hour film. And so, I'm sitting there getting ready to go, and I get a door alarm or what have you. The doorbell rings. Yeah. My first thought is like, okay, maybe it's a police officer looking for something, because that's happened before.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was Drew. Drew came over and just checking on me, because he was like, man, I'd be like, I know you're behind, so I'm just coming over to check on you.
I'm a worrywart in some instances, especially when it comes to time.
Yes.
So forgive me for that.
Yeah,
please.
Which is perfectly fine. Be like, I forgive you. It's no problem. Believe me, I'm the exact same way. Be like, okay. My dad, if you were 5 minutes late, he would very clearly say, be like, son, you had me so worried. Be like, I was afraid you were over, wrecked in a ditch, dead.
Well, at least if you were dead, you'd no longer be suffering.
Exactly.
Now, if you were in pain,
yeah,
I would think that'd be worse.
Yeah. True.
But anyway.
True. Either way, so my day's been gone great. The other day was not. Monday wasn't the greatest in the world, because I'm not going to say I suffer from mild depression. Be like, I had mild depression. And so some days it's be like, I'm great. It's rain, because I use a lot of essential oils to help with that. And some days I forget to wear them or forget to apply them.
Shame on you.
Yeah, exactly. And so I definitely felt the effects of not wearing my or applying my oils in the morning to lighten up my mood a little bit. So I'm
responding on your watch party.
Oh, no worries. So yeah, today was great. Apply my oils. By the way, if you're interested in those Young Living essential oils, hook me up. Get in touch with me on my personal Facebook, and we can talk about it. It really works. I deal with Tourette's disorder, and I use an oil for that, and also with mild depression, I use oils for that. It really works. So let me know. Okay. Either way, kind of a shameless plug there. Mm-hmm. Either way, how's your day been?
I've been gluing all day.
I thought you said glowing.
No, gluing.
Okay.
I am all day long. I've been having to glue some stuff at work.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, if I'm rubbing my hands, all of a sudden I'll start peeling something off my skin here.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Peeling skin, but it's not. So.
Oh yeah, that's
if you
fun.
If those in the live feed, if you see me start kind of clawing at something, that's all that is.
He's part reptile.
I have been doing that. I did that today. I did that yesterday.
Okay.
I did that Saturday, and I did some of it Friday. I'm almost finished, which probably means there's another batch coming.
Probably.
All of that aside, I've had some pretty good days. So
that's good.
Yeah. So, what have you been watching?
Oh, what have I been watching? Well, we the both of us watched Reboot with a friend of ours. And
watched the first 4 episodes.
Yes, four episodes.
I forgot how much I liked that show.
I liked it. It's definitely it definitely shows its age for a show made in the early 90s with full CG. I have to give it credit for there.
Yeah. It's strange in many ways. The visuals of the show are dated.
Yes, they are,
and yet. Also, they kind of hit that timeless mark to where they don't look dated, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Somewhat. Makes somewhat sense. I'm kind of mixed because it's the first full episode for 4 episodes of the season.
Mm-hmm. We hadn't really gotten into an overarching story, but
we haven't.
We had just some fun watching the show.
Yeah, exactly. It was a fun viewing, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, other than that, it was good.
All right. That about all you watched?
Yeah, besides this?
Mm-hmm.
Nope. How about yourself?
I've been watching Let's Plays on YouTube the last couple days. Mostly when I'm working on something, I can put that on in the background and look up every once in a while and then go back to whatever I'm doing and look up and back to whatever I'm doing. When I'm at home, obviously, I'm not doing any of that at work.
Okay.
But that's mostly what I'm watching. I'm mostly watching Let's Plays of Persona 5 Royal, which is ironic because I'm also playing that game from time to time. But I'm watching Chronos plays of that. So that's pretty much all I've really had a chance to, other than immediately... I forgot that the last season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had started up.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So I have been trying to get caught up on that. I've watched 2 of the 3 released episodes. So I should be caught up on that pretty soon. But other than that, that's what I've been watching.
Alrighty then.
So what do we got in the news?
Well, let me get to the news. All right. So the first bit of news, obviously, most of my news comes from animationmagazine.com. So if you want to go and verify this, well, I don't know if your sources are reliable. Go check them out. All right. So the first bit of news is actually a trailer drop, and a Q&A for a certain Netflix original-esque movie is coming out.
Okay.
All right.
I should know this.
Maybe.
Sounds familiar. What is the name of this movie?
I will give you that in a second.
You didn't put it in your notes?
No, I did.
Oh, you just weren't on your notes.
No, I'm going to give you the description, and then I'll give you the title.
All right. Okay.
All right. A circus mystery takes some...
Circus mystery?
A circus mystery.
Okay.
Takes some transformable, often furry, twisted turns into... Can you guess the title?
A circus mystery.
It's based off a very, very old, very timeless children's snack.
Snack?
By those clues.
As in animal crackers?
Ba-da-ding! He's got it. They are making an animal crackers movie.
I've heard of worse, ironically. I mean, they are still working on a Tetris movie for some reason.
Yes. So apparently, a CG animated feature which will debut in 190 countries through Netflix on July 24th. And apparently the synopsis was one of the writers and directors had been playing with his children with animal crackers and said, what do you think if you ate an animal cracker of a lion and you turned it into a lion? What kind of adventure would that be? And so this is what the entire synopsis movie is based off.
I need to see a trailer before I understand what's actually going on.
Yeah. Apparently.
But I mean, the Lego movie worked, so I guess,
yeah. Well, it's coming to Netflix in July. So if you are interested, maybe you're faintly curious about this film, go check it out.
All right.
So second bit of news is something Studio Ghibli. Ooh, yeah. So Studio Ghibli and G-Kids are with distributor Shout Factory, which will issue The Wind Rise on digital download and on demand.
The Wind Rises?
The Wind Rises, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew I said it wrong. The Wind Rises on digital download and on demand on September 1st, and on Blu-ray, a DVD combo pack as a standalone DVD pack on September 22nd.
Awesome.
Yep. So
it'll be a while till I see it, but
right. The Blu-ray release.
I don't know. I might see it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Not for the show.
No, of course. But release includes a exclusive booklet featuring full-length storyboards and a 10-year with Hayao Miyazaki documented episode.
Okay.
Which gives behind the scenes in the production of the film. The Wind Rises is available for pre-order now on ShoutFactory.com.
And probably anywhere else you can buy Shout Factory releases.
Pretty much.
Such as Amazon.
Yeah. So that is all I've found in the news. I know you brought something up earlier.
Well, there was an interesting thing that happened.
Yeah.
Apparently either today or earlier this week. I didn't catch exactly when.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it till today.
Yeah.
So, this is Pride Week, technically.
Yes.
Oh, not Pride Week. I mean, this is Pride Month.
Yes.
It started a little bit late for some interesting reasons.
Right. Something about Corona.
And those riots.
Riots,
but
yes.
Apparently Nickelodeon, in order, as one of their, support Pride Month posts.
Yes.
Mentioned that SpongeBob SquarePants was technically LGBTQ+.
Okay.
And of course, I had to look up. I don't follow this Pride stuff.
Yeah, me either.
I don't. Anyway, I don't follow it. But apparently in the plus section, because apparently they got tired of adding onto the alphabet soup of their organization title, apparently includes stuff like asexual. And that's what SpongeBob is officially, he's officially asexual.
Okay.
Do you know why he's officially asexual?
Because he's a sponge.
Yes! And those animals are asexual.
Yeah.
Which means, what's the news here? Why is everybody going crazy? He's been asexual. Steven Hillenburg, the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, said he was asexual in the mid-2000s. This is not news.
No, it's not.
But the fact that people are going crazy about it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so yeah, officially, everyone who's saying, they said SpongeBob's gay. No, they didn't say SpongeBob's gay. They said he was asexual. Like the sponge he actually is.
Designed after. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, people. It's a cartoon for kids.
Yes.
Probably this stuff's not coming up in the show.
Probably not.
Anyway.
Yeah, either way. That's very...
I don't know. I haven't watched SpongeBob since season 5.
Okay.
So I don't know what they're doing in the show now.
Yeah, because
I can't imagine there's Plankton still going after that Krabby Patty formula.
Who knows? Well, obviously there's a movie coming out, and I know
which ironically I'll probably go see. But
yeah, there was some news, but I didn't click on it. But they're showing exclusive clips and something like behind the scenes information regarding the film. So it should be coming out probably this year or next year.
Okay.
So other than that, that's all the news I've got.
All right. So I guess we should move into the spoiler-free section of our review of Fantasia.
Yes.
Which, saying spoiler-free for this movie feels odd.
Yeah.
Because there's really nothing to spoil.
No, there's not.
So I guess we'll just talk about, any memories we have of this movie right quick.
Right.
So, I did not see this movie in its entirety till about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I had seen clips, mostly of Bald Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's probably one of those films.
Right. And, of course, clips of Sorcerer's Apprentice, but never the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, ironically, there was some scenes from this that I saw quite a lot of when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the scene from the Pastoral Symphony with the Blue Centaur and Blue Centaurette couple. Because that was in the DTV Love special, Valentine's Day special, that I had on a bootleg VHS when I was a kid and apparently wore out.
Okay. So
I was sitting there going, wait a minute, this all of a sudden starts looking familiar. Really familiar, like etched in my memory familiar. Right. Oh, yeah, that's what that is. Wow. Okay, I'm now hearing Steve. I think it's Stevie Wonder doing the. Who sings "Don't Go Breaking My Heart"? It's that song that was playing. Because immediately I'm sitting there, I'm hearing Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony, but in the back of my mind I'm going, ooh, Nobody knows it. Nobody knows. Because that's really what the song I'm used to associating with these visuals is.
Well, I'm not my brother Jim, who is basically he's been called J-Pod because he can just literally give a song and be like, oh, it just pops up with it and says, be like, oh, it's from here and here. It's like, okay, okay, Stephen Strange.
It happens.
It does. I mean, he's very good at that. Let's say that.
So that is pretty much my experience of Fantasia prior to this viewing.
Okay.
I have never watched its sequel, Fantasia 2000, outside of the commercials that were on it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, but that's about it.
Okay. My experience of the film comes down because I remember watching it as a child, and my baby brother Daniel, who absolutely loved it because he's a music. He loves music. Daniel absolutely loves music.
Right.
And he's one of those guys that could literally hear something or pick up an instrument, what have you, and within probably 20 minutes, have a general understanding of it and play it fairly well. I've known several people like that. And so Daniel, at a very young age, loved Fantasia because it was all music.
Yeah.
For me, I got bored with it very quickly. I remember certain sequence.
Continue. It's been going.
Okay. Good.
I don't think you can hear it anyway.
No, but
we can hear that part of it, but as of what we're talking about.
All right. So my memory of this.
Please don't scare me like that, computer.
All right.
Continue.
Take care. My memory of this film, because we watched it as a young child. We watched it as young kids. Because my mom was always buying Disney. Back in the day, there was such thing as a VHS.
Yes.
Before DVD.
I'm aware of these VHSs.
I know, but there's some people who don't. I've literally.
Those people are young kids.
Yes, they are, and hopefully.
And I mean that in the best possible way.
Yes.
Just saying you're younger than us old folks.
Yeah. That's weird when someone says old folks.
Hey, we're not old enough to actually remember the VHS Betamax war, but we remember everyone talking about it.
Yes.
Anyway.
All right. So my mom picked it up. My mom loved it because my mom loves musicals. Daniel loved it. My baby brother loved it. The guy who could literally pick up any instrument and hear a note and start playing it within probably like 15, 20 minutes. Just phenomenal. I know several people like that. And me, I literally got bored with it. Being the visual guy, you think I'd be glued to it.
Well, I mean, if you're starting from the beginning, I can see how some of those might bore you.
Yeah, exactly. And be like, and not fully understanding art. Be like, I was a little kid with this movie when we bought it on VHS. Now, I've seen where I think it was my sister-in-law a couple of years ago, Amanda, was looking for it for, I think it was her theater class or her art class she was doing, and so she had to go find like a Blu-ray or something like that, and it's like, oh, do you have it? It's like, no, I don't have Fantasia. And so watching it for the reviews, the first time I watched the entire thing, and I remember certain segments. I remember the Centaur segment, obviously. What is it? Bob Mountain?
Bald Mountain.
Bald Mountain. Not Bob Mountain. Bald Mountain. I remember those scenes very well. Some of the others I don't remember as clearly, but they're like, overall, I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the segments. I do have my nitpicks here and there, but we'll get into those when we go into our spoiler
portion.
Yes,
the full review.
Yes. And I think we're going to do this one just a little different than we have because it's segments.
We are doing this a little bit different. While you were talking, though, I remembered one other little aspect of this movie that I technically was. It's not the movie itself, but it's connected, and it's a little video game I've brought up a couple times on the show, just a few times.
Just a few times.
Kingdom Hearts,
of course.
In Kingdom Hearts, the last level of the game, you're in what's called End of the World.
Yes.
Which is the Heartless world, or supposedly where the Heartless are all coming from. the mid-level boss of this was Chernabog from Bald Mountain.
Of course.
Playing, of course, Night on Bald Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching this, I remembered, of course, that boss fight. Because that was the first time I'd ever run into anything really Fantasia related that I thought was cool. If we're being honest.
Yeah.
But after it went off on this last viewing, I thought, where on earth did they come up with a name like Chernabog? Because you look at some of the other names that technically apply to characters in Fantasia, which are not ever stated in the movie. They're all, on the Disney art books and such, because they had to name all these characters.
Yeah.
Just so they could keep track of who's animating what. Because it'd be very confusing to say, I'm animating Cherub number 4 and you're animating Cherub number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm sure some of those had to have been like that. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I got to looking it up. Well, of course, the name Chernabog for the demon was from the original folklore that the song is based on.
Yeah.
Chernabog is known, apparently, for being a stealer of hearts.
Really?
Really?
I remember you telling me that. Yes.
Really? And so I was going, no. That can't be it. I happened to, and as I was thinking about it, I realized, many of the Heartless, the way they move, is very similar to the way the demons move in Night on Bald Mountain. Holy crow! They put more work into it. I'm realizing now how much they put into this game 20 years ago.
That they did.
So yeah, that's just a weird, cool little thing. I know
that is so cool. That is really cool. They put that so much research,
that kind of detail into it.
Yeah,
especially when they introduce the character of the Heartless. You have no idea it's connected to Fantasia at all. It's just these are just the random things that are going to attack me on every world.
Yeah, Heartless.
Okay, I can work with that. It kind of works with the idea of anyway.
All right.
So
I did want to bring up, because we did have quite a few in the chat.
I've got some too.
All right, so
or not in the chat. I've got
one of our listeners who is Josh Adams. Hi, Josh. All right, ask Sorcerer's Apprentice. Like the Nicolas Cage movie, I know Fantasia came first. Well, yes, that's where most of us know Sorcerer's Apprentice from. It's a much older tale.
Mm-hmm.
Sorcerer's Apprentice goes back probably thousands of years.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, the second one he posted was like, just kind of burned me just a little bit. And he's doing. Josh is my cousin, so totally understand why he's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck is a VHS tape? Seriously, Josh?
It is the video home system created by JVC, which is the Victor Company of Japan. And they did it because they hated Sony. And they didn't want to pay Sony's licensing fees for Betamax.
Yes.
Also, they created an easier system that was easier to implement and not the convoluted thing that Betamax was.
Now you know the rest of the story.
If you're ever curious about the format war, go check out the Technology Connections video on it, because I thought he explained it very nicely.
Okay. There we go.
I am a nerd.
Of course. All right. And so Josh did point out 100 points if you can name the demon creature from Night of Bald Mountain.
I already did it.
We talked about it.
Chernabog.
And
AKA Satan.
Yeah. So Drew now has 100 points.
Now, towards what? I don't know, because I wasn't playing your game that you quit talking about.
So be like, if you can be like, yeah. So what do the 100 points go towards?
Who knows?
Josh? Who knows? Either way. So
cool points, probably.
Yeah, cool points. Either way. We did have a very, very interesting. What do you draw?
Nothing that's worth going after.
Okay. So we had a very interesting post.
Yes, on Facebook.
Yes,
on our Facebook page.
Yes.
And first, the post was him complimenting us.
Yes.
This is my friend Joseph Hamrick out of I won't say where he's at.
Yeah.
But he posted he then no. Just get tongue tied over here. Okay, so he put a post up that says how it feels agreeing with Jacob and Drew at times, and the picture he posts under that has a picture of a chair with feet and arms between two other people drinking. One's drinking wine, and they're obviously talking to one another and having a conversation.
And you can't interject.
It's like, yeah, pretty much. Which would be us in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
I mean, let's face it, there's a reason one of our friends is known for talking. Because that's the only way you can get in between us, is to talk more than we do.
Yeah, that is true.
But true. Also on that, he commented, also I got to see Fantasia at the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. What a wonderful experience.
That is awesome.
That would be cool to see,
that would be
I have to
cool.
admit.
That would be very cool. Yeah, that's very interesting because I've had the exact same conversation with my brother and his wife. They were like, they'd be listening to us be like, no, this is what it means, you idiots!
We don't care what you say it means. We care what we got out of it.
Yeah, exactly. But it'd be like, it's always great. It's always great to hear feedback from our audience.
Our experiences are based off of our personal biases and whatever the P word was. Perspectives, yes. Our perspectives and biases and prejudices and everything else that makes up how we perceive the world.
Yes.
Perception was the word I was actually looking for.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, our perceptions are different than yours, so,
yes.
Sorry, I did that wrong.
Exactly. But, kind of going to that point, we do feel like when someone does give us an opinion about something, we're going to say, okay, we respect your opinion. We respect your opinion on that. We may disagree with it.
I respect your opinion, but choose to live with my own.
Yeah.
To completely destroy a saying from Mythbusters.
Yeah, Adam Savage.
Yes. But anyway.
Yes. So, yeah.
So I guess that brings us to the end of this little section. We'll move into our quote-unquote spoiler-filled section right after this.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
All right, so we are right now at our commercial break. And
which we have no commercials to interject.
No,
here.
We don't yet.
Give it time.
Yeah.
We are
still growing, and apparently we got a lot of people watching.
Yes. In fact, I need to make commercials so I can shove it in other people's places. Maybe do a swap or something.
That's a perfect idea.
I have not done this yet.
Raw.
If I can type on here.
All right, so there again, people watching us currently right now on Facebook Live. If you do have any memories, thoughts, likes, dislikes of Fantasia, circa 1940, which is very odd in my research. One said, oh, it premiered in 1941. When everyone said 1940.
There was a roadshow version that had FantaSound, which was a special sound setup, and then there was the regular release that actually cut down a lot of poo.
Yeah.
Not poo. It didn't cut down on a lot of poo.
Yeah, no.
It abridged much of the MC's verbosity.
Yes. Good word.
Good, I just made it up. I took the word verbose and added osity to it. Verbosity. Anyhow, before we get into the review,
all right.
You did include the Meet the Soundtrack segment, right?
Meet the Soundtrack.
Right after the intermission, the thing with the sound wave bar.
No, I didn't, but I can.
Okay. Just wanted to check on it because I have included that because that was there was documentation for it.
Okay. So to go back to our comment section with Josh, who's very pleasantly chiming in. Do you want me to record some commercials for y'all? Well, what do you have commercial-wise?
I mean, if you want to make some promos for us,
yeah, that'd be great. That'd be amazing.
You have pretty much whatever's on our podcast feed to work from. So.
Right. So if you
want to, we won't stop you.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to.
I don't know what I was going to say there, but anyway, we appreciate it.
Yeah, deeply appreciate it. We'll definitely give you a shout out.
Keep in touch with Jacob on that.
Yeah,
because I'll forget. Anyway,
yeah.
Also, if anyone listening has got a podcast that they want to swap promos with once we have a promo,
exactly,
let us know.
Yeah, we've got a few podcasts where we're kind of interconnected with, somewhat connected with, and so I will probably get a hold of some of those people and be like, hey, can we do some promo swatching? I like that. Swatching. Sounds like you were here when you were a very young child from the 90s or the 80s. You're getting a swatching.
Most of the time when I deal with swatches, it's in a graphic design program to let me know let me select colors.
Right.
I was like a paint swatch.
It's for more go find a switch.
There's also a watch from the 80s called a swatch.
Okay.
That's as far as my swatch knowledge goes.
Okay. I've heard of a squat. With like 400 pounds on your back. Or on your shoulders.
400 pounds?
Yeah, that's heavy.
That's nearly the weight of me.
Hey,
it's more than the weight of me, but...
Well, that was my max squat. That was probably my sophomore year in high school.
Good to know when you were in high school, you could bench press me.
Squat, actually. I could
Whatever.
Technically, I can only bench press 200 pounds.
You're still better than me.
Well, I had a coach who just had to prove how strong he was.
Mm-hmm.
And big shout out to Coach Hollis, because he's still around. And he decided to be like, well, I'm going to show you guys off. So he put 500 pounds on a bench rack and pressed it once. That's impressive. Now, he had bloodshot eyes afterwards, but I was like, kudos. Now, granted, this is the same coach when there was a snake in the field house, nearly ran me over.
Well, I can understand this.
Yeah, I was running out of a couple of us were running out of the field house because most people are afraid of snakes.
I'm not afraid of snakes. I just have a great respect for what they can do and prefer they do it far away from me.
True. And so be like, I am running for the exit, and I nearly get run over by Coach Hollis. And Coach Hollis is a very big, short African-American guy who just be like, oh my gosh, I nearly ate concrete because he was running. He was like a bull out of a china shop at that moment. At the moment I wasn't laughing, but in retrospect, I'm laughing my head off.
Right.
But either way, I thought that was a very funny little
anecdote.
Antidote.
They're like, yeah, were we poisoned?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, the snake bit me.
Well, then you'd need an anti-venom.
Yeah.
And not
venom.
Not the reversed version from the comics of the Venom symbiote.
Yeah.
Is that Flash? I think that's Flash Thompson.
Yeah, Flash Thompson.
Okay. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a long while.
Go watch Disney Plus and watch Spider-Man.
Oh, I was talking about the comics.
Ah. Well, I was saying the reference is closer to. But the comics are good too.
Alright. So are you ready to jump back into this?
Ah, okay. That's what he's referring to. Okay. Cool. By the way, Josh, if you want to, you're more than welcome to, dude.
We will not stop you.
Nope.
And we will credit you.
Exactly.
I just don't know if we're going to pay you.
Yeah, well, it's more fan appreciation.
Yes.
All right, so let's get into the other segment of our
second half of this bad boy.
Yes.
All right. Starting in. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Fantasia. Listener discretion would be advised if it weren't for the fact that the Master of Ceremonies spoils each segment before they show. And enjoy. So, we're doing this one a little bit differently than our normal review. We're going to tackle each segments separately.
Mm-hmm.
So before we jump into going into each individual segment, I want to talk about the overall stuff. So for the cast, I am starting with the cast here.
Okay.
That is in the entire that is present throughout the entire performance. You got Deems Taylor doing the narrative introductions.
Mm-hmm.
He was a musical commentator, and he actually helped select the music for Fantasia.
Uh-huh.
In the general release version, which is the version we watched, his comments have been edited down severely from the original version. Apparently, he talked a lot more.
That would be very fascinating to see the original cut of this. The original.
Unfortunately, the original soundtrack, to my understanding, has been lost.
Yeah, that's
that original version.
That's what I've understood about it.
Which is sad, actually. Leopold Stokowski, I hope I said that name correctly, was the conductor of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and he's the one we see conducting throughout the entire film. And, of course, the Philadelphia Orchestra appears as themselves.
I thought so.
Pretty much.
Yeah. They didn't seem like, trained thespians.
They just, especially the one that knocked over the pipes.
Yes. At first I thought, okay, that's got to be intentional. I was like, no.
It doesn't look intentional.
It doesn't look intentional.
And yet, it's like, why did you leave it in?
Yeah. Realism, baby.
Now, like we said earlier, the original release of this was what they called a road show thing. Essentially, they would go to it'd be like a theater, like a theatrical touring.
Yes.
But at each location, they would set up essentially. Well, they wanted to use what Disney called Fanta sound.
Yes.
Which, of course, comes from the name of the movie Fantasia.
Do you want the Fanta?
Well, that's what it's on. The portion with the video, of course, would have the optical soundtrack, like all films from this era do, and all films, all movies produced on film.
Mm-hmm.
But that was mostly for backup purposes. They would also bring in a second film projector / reader that was designed solely for producing a very interesting way of doing surround sound, because they wanted it to sound like you were actually a symphony orchestra was actually in front of you. So it would actually have 4 different soundtracks, one for the left, one for the right, and one for the center. And then I don't remember what the 4th one was. The 4th one was the one on the other video. That was the standard audio track for backup purposes only. Was the only reason it was there. And essentially it produced a surround sound like experience for the time. When they did the general release, though, they just did the standard audio mono thing that was available at the time.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of disappointing, but
yeah,
that's how most people ended up actually experiencing it. And for that version is when they edited it down for length purposes, because he does go on for a bit,
ramble a little bit,
even in this version.
Yes.
So there's that. Want to go ahead and go into the first segment of this, or did you have anything overall you wanted to say you liked or disliked?
It was very. Let me get my words right. The overall spectacle of this film is fantastic.
I agree.
It's almost fantastic.
Well, you just said fantastic twice.
Yeah, I did. Either way.
Okay.
Either way. I highly enjoyed it. There's, there again, we'll get into the nitpicks later on, but it's a great film.
Mm-hmm. The only real thing I did not like overall about the film was, if this is even a dislike, I don't know if I understand the idea that they were wanting to recreate a symphony experience in the movie theater.
Right.
I understand that. I don't think we really needed the explanation in front of every single segment about what what we were going to see. Maybe explaining some of the music, why this was chosen, some of the history behind it, that was fine.
Yeah.
But in some cases, he's going through and saying, here is point for point what you're going to see in the animation.
Yeah.
It's like, let me experience the animation without being told what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's the only thing I really disliked in overall.
Okay. If I was going to give a disagreement or dislike about the film, would probably be that this movie has been edited and hacked to death over the last nearly 100 years.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I understand that people want to be, politically sensitive or something like that. I get that. I understand it. But when it comes to like art, I think art should be like, this is what I made. Let's deal with it.
I will get more into that when we get to the segment in question.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree. It's like I would have wished. Here's the thing when it comes to movies.
Yeah.
I understand wanting maybe alternate cuts that maybe either make it work better, maybe take some stuff out that maybe is not good anymore.
Right. Socially.
Making it to where, someone who doesn't like hearing cuss words can actually still enjoy your movie. In some instances.
Yeah.
I'm happy with those versions existing.
Yes.
And being available, even being easier to get than perhaps the unedited version.
Mm-hmm.
But I still want the unedited version.
Yeah.
I want to see what was changed.
Yeah.
Because there is a chance I might like the original version better. And plus, a part of me still thinks you want the original version going forward. Anything, if you even accidentally lose something that maybe even wasn't socially acceptable,
right,
you are losing history.
Yeah, agree.
Especially with this particular film.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that more in depth here in a minute.
Agreed.
So, moving into our first segment.
Well, are we missing something? Production?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Production. Go into the production of this thing.
All right.
Info, whatever we're calling it this week.
Production, info, let's just call it production. Production and news.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is like the 6th iteration of this segment.
We just keep changing names. It's
like,
you know what this is. It's just, it's us going over the details of all the technical things so you can see how it stacks up with everything else.
Yeah, technical battle. That'd be a good one. Technical battle.
No, technobabble is when you have to use multimodal reflection sorting to change the polarity of the flux capacitor.
Okay, Doc.
Good, because I just mixed like 4 different science fiction.
You did. That was fun. That was good. All right. So, anyways. All right. So, on to production. I'm calling it right now. All right. So, on IMDb, it has a score of 7.8 out of 10. That's really good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 94 score and a audience score of 83. On Metacritic, it has a 96%. So, overall, very good.
Okay.
All right. It was, obviously, production was by Walt Disney Productions. It was distributed by Walt Disney Productions and RKO Studios.
Originally. Mostly RKO.
Mostly RKO.
Because this was before Disney started doing their own distribution.
Yeah. And do you remember what RKO stands for?
Radio Knockout. I don't remember the KO. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right.
What is the KO? If you're gonna throw this at me, you at least gotta answer it when I get it wrong.
I was hoping you had it. But anyways,
radio.
Hold on. Let me know where I sound like a complete idiot.
Better just be an incomplete idiot than a complete one.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, Radio Keith Orpheum.
Okay, Radio Keith
Orpheum.
Orpheum?
Orpheum.
Orpheum.
It's the Keith Albee Orpheum theater chain. The name comes from the combining of the Keith Albee Orpheum theater chain and Radio Corporation of America.
Okay. All right. So let's go to distributor. All right. It was distributed by Walt Disney Productions in association with RKO Radio Pictures.
No, and RKO is Radio Keith Orpheum is what that stands for. In case anyone's curious.
Yes. All right. All right. So it was released. Oddly enough, you have to go back and look at the history of it. Its original run, and Drew had mentioned this a few minutes ago. That its original run, which was they were doing something completely different. This was kind of like it was a tour, pretty much. It was a tour with a different sound, a different sound. What was it called again?
Fantasound.
Fantasound.
That has nothing to do with the soft drink.
No, it's not orange.
Or purple.
Or green.
Why did I go color when obviously orange could have been fruit?
Yes.
Because it's grape and cherry and all this other stuff.
All right, so it was originally released on November 13th, 1940.
Mm-hmm.
A very long time ago for most of us. And then... Yeah.
Hey, this is the oldest thing so far we've reviewed.
That is true. All right, and then its theatrical release was July 1st, 1941.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so its box office numbers are kind of hit and miss a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's having to look down and be like, I've literally had to copy and paste a section of the article to get the full gist of what the actual numbers were.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So going from the budget, the budget I found on IMDb, with the budget I found on IMDb, stated that it had a budget of $2.2 million.
Okay.
Estimated.
It's still a lot of money for that time period.
It's a lot of money, definitely in the 1940s. Its opening U.S. release was... Its opening... What it earned, its opening weekend, was $980,798.
That doesn't sound too good.
No, it doesn't. Now, mind you, it's the 1940s. It's
true.
1940.
And is these box office numbers from the 1941 wide release, or does that include the
that's the
roadshow?
This is the wide release.
Okay, so they had already probably made a bunch of money from the roadshow part already. So.
Right. I'll get into that in a moment.
Okay.
The fact that this is during World War II. This is World War II in Europe. Europe was already being run over by Nazi Germany, or the Third Reich, and so they really couldn't go and tour this thing over the world.
Right.
It could only be really toured in the U.S. All right, so its gross U.S. domestic was $76.4 million. And,
not bad.
No, and worldwide gross was $76.411 million. It was a little different. All right, so to get into more detail, because like you said, this was originally a roadshow. And then it became a theatrical. All right, so Fantasia grossed over $300,000 in the first 16 weeks in New York, over $20,000 in its opening 5 weeks in San Francisco, almost the same amount for the first 10 weeks, both in Los Angeles and Boston. The first 8 road shows earned a total of $1.3 million.
Nice.
By April 1941. But the $85,000 in production and installment of the cost of a single Fantasound setup, along with theaters having to release, forced Disney to extend their loan limits. Right. So they lost a ton of money when it came to the initial roadshow. Mm-hmm. It's again, they made a lot, but they lost it. Yeah, pretty much. So that's pretty much it. Because it's like going in actually having to do the research. It was like,
I can see why this took you longer than normal.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't sound like any of this information is in the standard way of finding it.
No, it's not.
All right.
So that is information and
/ production / something.
We'll eventually get around to it.
We'll concrete the name eventually.
Exactly.
So getting into each of the individual segments here. The first segment is Toccata and Fugue in D minor, which was directed by Samuel Armstrong, and the original song was written by Johann Sebastian Bach. The summary for this is that live-action shots of the orchestra, illuminated in blue and gold, backed by superimposed shadows, fade into abstract patterns. Animated lines, shapes, and cloud formations reflect the sound and rhythms of the music. Mm-hmm. This is by far the most abstract one in the entire show.
Agreed.
And it's first. And I think they put it first because they wanted to get it out of the way.
Agreed.
In many ways. But, I mean, it also kind of explains, it kind of works.
It does.
In my mind. Because having been in a symphony orchestra, gone to see a symphony orchestra, to some degree I can see they're sitting there. I can kind of visualize what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's like, this is definitely the most boring section, I would say, of this one. And that would be, well, let me back up and put this in the normal format. Because we're doing one like and one dislike on each of these.
Yeah.
So my like for this actually is how well each of the movements of color and all this stuff is timed with the music.
Yes.
It's done well. It is beautiful in a modern art sort of way. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's only okay.
Yeah.
What's your like on this?
My like would be more the idea that it reflects the sound and color. The idea of sound and color. I thought that was a brilliant idea. The how the way they use the lighting, the way they use color to express the music, and I thought that was very. It was very bold choice. Definitely how you're going to start your film.
But that's also the most, I would say, musical of the segments.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Because in almost all the other ones, the visuals start taking somewhat away from the music. Because there is just a little bit of like, oh yeah, this is doing this because this is doing this, and back and forth.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we get to the other one, I have an entirely different song that plays in my head when I see those visuals. But yeah, I mean, that's my biggest dislike on this. Go ahead and go into that. Mm-hmm. Is I am not a fan of abstract art.
Understood.
And this is very much what they were going for. Was abstraction, trying to visually show something you hear auditorially, trying to capture visually the emotion of the music, which the song itself, as much as I like the song itself, is not really trying to tell any kind of, give you any sort of feeling of a plot or movement towards the thing. It's just, like the MC says, the title is just just a description of the music.
Yeah.
It's not trying to provoke an image of something. And so it matches that. It's just it's art for art's sake in some ways.
Yes, I agree.
And I am not a fan of that concept. So I guess I just don't like it because that's not my style of art, which I don't really know if that's if I really call that a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. So, there you go.
Okay.
What's your dislike?
My dislike would definitely that it's not engaging. It's not really engaging the fact that I enjoy it visually, but it doesn't really pull me in. It doesn't really pull me in. And it's lights, color, and just sound. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy aspects of it, but there's just I don't feel I'm getting any kind of real enjoyment out of it.
Right.
And so it's I guess as a child when I first watched this, it didn't appeal to me then. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't appeal to me now.
Yeah.
So,
and I would say to most people, if you found Fantasia boring when you first watched it,
mm-hmm.
I would say actually start in the second segment.
I would agree with you on that.
Fast forward through this first segment because this first segment it's just not. It's don't get me wrong. It's animated well and the music is performed well.
Yes.
I have nothing really against it other than it doesn't feel like it feels like there's form but no function.
Right.
It feels like there's no meat.
Yeah.
And that's really what I don't like.
It's just flow.
It's just flow. Yeah. So moving into our second segment.
Let me see.
The second segment is the Nutcracker Suite,
mm-hmm.
which was also directed by Samuel Armstrong. It, of course, is the Nutcracker Suite. The song was originally written by, is it Peter? Because it's P-Y-O-T-R. That's Peter, essentially, but in Russian.
Yeah, Peter.
Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should just say last names, because I usually can do those. This is a selection from the ballet suite, which underscores scenes depicting the changing of the seasons from summer to autumn to winter. A variety of dances are presented with fairies, fish, flowers, mushrooms, and leaves, including Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, Chinese dance, Arabian dance, Russian dance, Dance of the Flutes, and Waltz of the Flowers. I like the variety on display on this one because it is really 7 or 8 different songs that are included together. So I enjoy the variety. Yes, it doesn't have a single. It has a very abstract sort of storytelling, but there is storytelling in that, in the music and in the visuals, just moving you from like I said, the spring to winter.
Yeah.
It skips summer completely for whatever reason.
That
but
does.
I'm going to claim the mushrooms were summer.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
Summer of love, baby.
Yeah. When I first watched it, I was a little concerned with how the mushroom dance was until I realized that the song is literally called the Chinese dance. So it's like, oh, okay.
That makes sense.
I don't know if you can really call that in bad taste now.
Yeah.
Because the name of the song is kind of in that sort of vein. But, I mean, throughout the whole thing, every single visual in this is beautiful. And I love it. Like I said, I love the variety. And all the some of the animation in this segment specifically, I'm amazed that this was actually all hand-drawn in the 1940s.
Yeah.
Which I do not associate with this quality animation in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the closest I think I can get to this might be Pinocchio.
Yeah, because they had just done Pinocchio.
Yeah. And which is the only way I can explain why the underwater scenes look as good as they do, is because they had just got done practicing that over and over again. I still want to know how they did the underwater effect.
Oh yeah,
because that literally does look like they are. If it was live action, I would think they were shooting through like a water flowing between 2 panes of glass. is kind of what it looks like. But that can't be what they did with cell animation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that interesting. So
there were a lot of scenes definitely throughout a lot of the segments that were just so breathtaking.
Oh yeah,
definitely in this particular segment, were just like beautifully captivating.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, where can I buy? They're like, one, do I have $8,000, and where can I buy this cell? like, oh gosh, like it's so breathtaking.
Yeah.
So breathtaking. I remember the scene so well as a child because it was these little fairies.
Mm-hmm.
Fairies. And I'm pumping my mic. It's what this scene captivated me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
With because the little fairies that went around, I always think like little fireflies or something.
Yeah.
They glow and they're fairies, obviously, because they're changing the seasons and all that.
Yeah.
And I remember that because I was a very young boy, and I was like, "Ooh, you got my attention."
The fairies got your attention.
Apparently, I know this sounds odd. But I was a little kid.
It's fine.
But
already attracted to cute girls. I'll let it go. That's the only explanation I can come up with.
Yeah, you're right. So just the visually stunning segment. Like you said earlier, the fact that it represents so many things around the world and culturals and music and the animation, like you said.
Dislodging a hairball.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Hairball. Wait, literally. No, I did not. I'm not covered in fur like Robin Williams.
Right.
All right.
Continue.
Yes. Thoroughly enjoyable. It has so many. It's diverse. The animation in it is phenomenal. Like you said earlier, how they did the rain effects, how they did like the one scene where it's all the fairies are on the spider web and all that.
Yes.
That water collection. It's like it's all set to the music. It's like, and watching it on my newer TV, Thank you, Drew, by the way. Watching it on my newer TV was fantastic. I loved it. It was so breathtaking, and I thoroughly enjoyed this segment. It was wonderful, and just it's like how they did that. The late 1930s and the 40s was just phenomenal. Just how Walt Disney and that entire team did this was just breathtaking.
So one of the things I was noticing, and I noticed this with two different, it's both in this segment, but in this two different scenes in this segment.
Yeah,
I thought was interesting is you can kind of tell where Disney later on took inspiration.
Oh, yes.
From this. The underwater scenes look a lot like Little Mermaid, but of course Little Mermaid's a little bit cleaner.
Under the sea.
Yes, but I mean the animation style is much more looks like you can tell Little Mermaid took its visual style from this segment.
Yes.
In the same way, believe it or not, I think Frozen took its ice, snow spreading, like you see during Elsa's song.
Yeah.
I think they took this from the snow fairies freezing the lake.
I can definitely see that.
Because you can kind of see how, that is very similar.
Yeah.
It's like, in some ways, I want to retroactively ding Frozen for just copying, but at the same time, it's like, no, that's not what was going on. This literally was homage to this. And
huge homage.
the fact that they recreate the effect in 3D,
yeah,
I'm much more appreciative of now.
Yeah,
but I thought that was interesting how this is almost a foreshadow of later works Disney would do.
Well, I did want to bring up one little thing when you mentioned Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to a lot of the rain effects,
I know a lot of them were copied, especially in the beginning of Little Mermaid.
Yeah, a lot of them were copied, and okay, so back in the 1980s, the Disney Vault or the how they preserve things weren't as safeguarded,
right?
As well. So, so when they were in production, they were trying to be like, one, they were having problems getting all the water fixed in China, and so they were afraid we weren't going to have this or that. So when it came to the rain sequence on the boat and that amazing scene, they literally went to the vault. They literally went to the archive, pulled out scenes from, I think it was Bambi. They literally pulled out, like
Bambi has underwater scenes.
No, they have rain. It's rain scenes.
Okay.
Rain scenes. And so they literally take all these, like treasured, lack the better word of photocopies onto plastic that were done in like the 1940 mid 1940s.
Yeah,
when they did Bambi, and they literally just put it in the back of a truck and let it slosh around, and that's all I got in the film. I found that so incredibly interesting. It's like nowadays, be like that wouldn't happen in a million years. You would have armed security trying to get all these very delicate. And back in the 80s, it was like, throw it in the back of a truck, we'll be fine. So I thought that'd be like little tad bit of information about another Disney classic.
All right,
that ties in with another Disney classic.
So dislike-wise for this segment, I don't really know if I guess the only really dislike I have for this is the fact that the segments a lot of the segments don't seem to be connected.
No.
I know the songs aren't connected.
No.
Very well. But, I mean, you don't really see... I was very much expecting, since they were showing off each of these individual things at the beginning, I was expecting by the end of it there was going to be something with everybody together. Right. And that's not what happens. Mm-hmm. So the fact that it is literally like a mini Fantasia in Fantasia,
right,
in some ways, is almost disappointing that there's just not more cohesiveness in this segment.
Okay. That makes sense. My dislike about this segment would be, I think you brought it up earlier, they completely miss Summer. They completely miss Summer in the sequence. Other than that, I thoroughly enjoy this segment. It's just the only thing I can really is like how the fairies are drawn in some ways. Mm-hmm. That it's like they almost rotoscoped some people,
and that
or
is
just drew freehand.
That is something to bring up. Everyone should know that these drawings are a little more adults, let's say.
Yes, they are.
Than something like, say, Little Mermaid or more adult than you would assume for a Disney production. Not as much here, but later on we'll get to it.
Yes, do other segments. It's like, whoa, okay.
Like what was this rated?
Yeah,
this can't be rated G.
Yeah, because because there again, I was be like, when I watched it as a little
it goes right over your
hello.
It goes right over your head, and it's like,
wait a minute.
It's one thing when you had them and you just didn't draw the details in.
Right.
That's one thing.
Right.
It's one thing when you drew them like Barbie dolls.
Right.
It's another thing entirely.
And you go to our last segment, it's like,
okay. You expected the kids to be asleep by this point.
Apparently.
Anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah. You have something to drink.
In there? At the refrigerator.
Yes.
There is either Cokes in the top, or if you want, if you can, I don't know if I've got a glass you can pour apple juice into. But
it's okay. I'll grab Coke.
Okay.
All right. So pause.
Should have paused a second ago, but anyway. It's okay. I think we've only got one viewer at the moment.
Yeah, it's all good.
So, hi, one viewer. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And being, what's the word I'm looking for?
Patient?
Patient with us, yes.
Yes. Apparently you had it be like all your Cokes are gone.
Should be that box in the top. It's empty? My bad. I didn't know it was empty. I got the last one a second ago, apparently.
It's all good.
Okay, open the cabinet up there at the top. Left. Yeah, to the left. Left. Is there any glasses in that or the other one? Yeah, not that one. That one needs to be washed.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, just get some apple juice.
Got it.
If you don't want apple juice.
Okay. It's like pulling on a torque wrench.
It's tight.
And probably like some people are thinking it's like, man, where this live stream at? Had to stop because someone was coughing.
Just ignore the fact that it looks like pine sol. It's just something I noticed earlier today when I was at work. Someone was getting pine sol to go mop something.
Yeah.
I thought, that looks strangely like apple juice.
So, yes.
Yes.
Apple juice.
Anyway.
I'm going to put this over here.
Okay.
That's a first.
What?
Apple juice in a coffee cup.
It happens.
It does. All right. So, back to where we were.
Did you finish your dislike?
Let's see.
Okay. We'll move on to part 3.
Yeah, part 3.
Segment 3, which is The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yes.
Directed by James Algar. The Sorcerer's Apprentice was written by Paul Dukas. Is based on Goethe's 1797 poem Der Zauberlehrling, I think. This is the only one that has Mickey Mouse in it. A young apprentice of the sorcerer Yen Sid, which you'll notice is Disney backwards, and attempts some of his master's magic tricks, but does not know how to control them. It should also be noted that after this segment finishes, there is a short scene between in silhouette Mickey Mouse and the conductor Leopold, in which you hear Mickey and Leopold talk to one another.
Yes.
And the voice of Mickey in that scene is Walt Disney, which is cool.
Fun fact: he was the first voice of the mouse himself.
He voiced him a number of times, although there was also another voice around this time. But Walt Disney went ahead and did it this time for, I assume, the cameo purposes, and to thank the conductor on screen. It should also be noted that The Sorcerer's Apprentice was actually the entire reason Fantasia exists.
Really?
Yes. The Sorcerer's Apprentice was originally what Disney called Silly Symphonies. That was their version of the Merry
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And there was apparently a believed popularity decline of Mickey Mouse at the time.
Yes.
And so Walt Disney wanted to bring him back, but in a big way, and have this big musical short to play in front of a bunch of movies. The problem was it went over budget.
Of course.
It was going to be expensive, and it was believed that most people would not want to see something like this in front of whatever movie it was going to be put in front of, because very few people would be able to actually enjoy it properly.
Right.
Was the thought there. So Disney and his brother Roy and Walt decided that this would be better served as the centerpiece of a much bigger project, which would end up becoming Fantasia.
Mm-hmm. Good to know.
Yes. So my like on this one is a lot of the water effects. Oh. I know I've already talked about water effects.
There's a lot of water effects.
This one I feel is the most amazing.
Yeah.
For one thing, you don't have a bunch of fish and other stuff getting in the way because all the water effects here are indoors.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of tell this is the oldest worked on project because the animation style seems a little bit different.
It's a little more out of place with the others.
It is out of place with the rest of it, but it is still a Mickey Mouse short.
Yeah.
The entire thing is beautiful with along with the water effects. You got the magic effects during Mickey's nap, and then the fact that he can't get the things to stop.
Yeah,
and it's just getting worse and worse and worse until Yensid comes down and just puts a stop to everything and makes Mickey have to go back to do it the hard way. But at the same time, you'll note that the sorcerer has kind of a bit of a smirk on his face as Mickey walks away. It's like, yeah, I remember doing stuff like that.
Hey, you live and learn, and just get better at it.
But yeah, this is a fun of all the shorts in this entire thing. This has got to be the most fun.
It is,
and it's I kind of wish this had been where the movie started, because at the very least, you get this in, the kids would enjoy it, everyone would know kind of what's going on, and then you kind of get into the more esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
But this is still a fun, a little short, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. My first is very similar to yours, that it's like, one, we get Sorcerer Mickey.
Yes.
We get Sorcerer Mickey, the first ever... where that came from. The big sorcerer hat that was at Walt Disney World for decades.
And let's face it, outside of his normal shorts with no shirt look, this is probably his most iconic look. Besides that,
it is.
So,
other than that, it's there's a part of me that really wishes that the scene would have just been, instead of a short, it would have been like a full length or what have you. Just this.
Well, they tried that with Nicolas Cage in the 90s.
Yeah.
Late 90s, early 2000s. I didn't watch the movie.
Yeah, eventually, I'm going to get around to watching it at some point.
It's not animated, though.
No, it's not, but I keep hearing very good things about
it. We may have to do that on our other podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Eventually.
We never get back to recording it.
Yeah. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
As we
will get there when we get there.
On that podcast.
That is sort of the unofficial mantra of that show.
Yes. I think this was because like you said earlier, the fact that the simple idea that Mickey Mouse was on the decline, is like unheard of for us. It's like everybody knows who Mickey Mouse was, or is,
but they thought they believed him to be on the decline at the time.
Yes,
which you have to remember, the Disney of then was not the Disney of now.
That is
not the multimedia empire,
right?
It's not like you could go down to your local store and buy a Mickey Mouse bobble pen or something.
Right.
He was still mostly a cartoon character on par with like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Which Bugs Bunny is much more of a household name now. But at the time, they really weren't. They were just like, these are the cartoons they showed in front of the things to keep the kids happy before the movie comes on for the adults.
Yeah. It's there again, it's kind of very odd, like I said earlier. But this is basically I guess you would call it the icon of this movie that everybody remembers. Most people are going to think this and this, but The Sorcerer's Apprentice is the segment that everybody's going to remember. It's going to be the most watched, probably the most reviewed, reverent in a way of how it's It's executed. The animation's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the water effects are just gorgeous.
Yes. Along with the brooms and Mickey trying to walk through all the water.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, oh man, that is just done so stinking well.
Yeah, the fact that they pull off the underwater almost no gravity walking is it's so phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Like it as a whole, the movie is done animation wise for the most part done exceedingly well. And this segment is just.
And admittedly, from our perspective, you have to continually remind yourself that every animated frame in this movie was drawn by hand. Every inch, every pixel of it.
Yeah, and
hand-painted. It's not like the 80s and 90s where we had the cap system that made it easier to do all this stuff. No, this was all painstakingly done by hand.
Yeah.
And you look at this and you go, oh my word. I can't believe somebody drew this not once, but 26 times a second for a 10 to 15 minute video section just for the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, how big of a team at that point
they had to have in order to pull this off.
Yeah, because when
there's a reason every single one of these segments is a different director.
Oh yeah, different director, different animators. Because at this point, Disney was a huge company at this point.
Oh yeah,
like the 40s, and they had like over, I think it was like 200, 300 employees that's doing this.
Yes,
and it was phenomenal. Oh my gosh. Just like this segment, like you could separate it and put it on its own.
Yes,
and just it's gold.
Well, that's the thing. I think, with the exception of Toccata and Fugue, I think all of these have been released separately.
Agree.
From Fantasia.
Yeah,
but I still enjoy watching them all together. So
agree.
Do we have a dislike for this segment? The closest thing I can come up with is the fact that you can tell that this has got a slightly dated, in comparison, a visual style.
Right.
Because especially on Yen Sid himself, because he's got very broad lines, and it feels like there's especially in the beginning when he's casting those initial magic tricks, and it's like it doesn't look as smooth as the rest of Fantasia.
Yeah.
But it's because it started off as a different project.
Right.
So there is that.
The only dislike I could actually think of is when Mickey takes a hatchet to the broom and.
Oh, I loved that.
Oh, I loved it. I love that. I love that.
Especially since
definitely it's done in silhouette.
Yes.
It was perfect. The only problem I had with it was after Mickey has be like, okay, this is done. I'm going to take a nap, and they reanimate into what it looks like millions of others of broomsticks
and the buckets, and they all the buckets already have water in them.
Exactly.
That's just a little weird. But really, for the most of that, I can kind of let pass.
Yeah, it's magic.
Here's the part I can't let pass.
Okay.
The way they animated the transformation of these broken pieces of the broom into the smaller, into the other brooms, literally it just feels like they shook, they had the animation shake for a little bit, and all of a sudden, poof, the thing is a broom. And it's not like you have a magic cloud thing happen or any other effect. It's just shake, 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 shake. Oh, look, it's a broom.
Yeah.
It's like, I wish you'd have done a little more than that to make that happen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to go full, show it morph slowly from the shards into its full-on broom.
Right.
But a little bit of something other than just what amounts to millions of little jump cuts on screen at one time.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
But Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo did a better job.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot better job.
Well, let's say this. It went bibbidi boom.
Yeah. It skipped Bobbidi. It skipped Boo. There was no fight against Goku. I'm joking here. Moving on. That's really all I've really got for this segment.
Same here.
So moving on to the next section. Oh yeah, there it is. Hang on.
Yeah, it's moving.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's a little slow.
There it goes. Let me stop and restart the recording in case there's a little hiccup.
All right.
It's not giving me anything about dropped things, so maybe it's just rendering hiccup. We're fine. Okay. Next section. Next segment. The Rite of Spring was directed by Bill Roberts and Paul Satterfield. The song was written by Igor Stravinsky, and it is a visual history of the Earth's beginning as depicted by science to selected sections of the ballet score. The sequence progresses from the plant's formation to the first living creatures, followed by the reign and extinction of the dinosaurs. And like I texted you yesterday, right after I got done with this segment, I think this is an unofficial prequel to The Land Before Time. Because I'm looking at going, these dinosaurs look like they came, not they can come out of it. Obviously, it had to be the other way around. Looks like they're heading towards the Great Valley, and they can't find their tree stars.
Yeah. So, interesting point on that. All right. So, Don Bluth.
Yes.
Be like, his biggest inspiration for Land Before Time was this segment.
I can see that.
Yeah, because
it looks like it came straight out of it.
Oh yeah, in the commentary on The Land Before Time, he mentions biggest inspiration was this segment from The Land Before Time because it's so apparent.
Oh yeah,
so apparent.
The look of the wasteland.
Yeah, the wasteland.
The general look of the dinosaurs that we do see. I do kind of like that the T-Rex was nice enough to kill the Stegosaurus slowly, so that it could go to sleep instead of being viciously ripped apart like I was expecting to happen at any second.
Right.
And I'm saying that jokingly because it's like, come on, be a little more violent. This is not how the dinosaur stuff we watched was more violent than this.
Yeah.
This looks like it just softly bit down on the Stegosaurus's neck, and the Stegosaurus gave up after it
gave up the ghost.
After it pummeled the T-Rex a little bit with his Thagomizer.
Yeah,
Thagomizer. That's the official name of that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
As worded, and do you know where that term comes from?
No.
Gary Larson.
Really?
Of The Far Side.
He
was the scientists hadn't come up with a name for it. He did it as a joke, and the scientists just started using it because they had no other anything alternative, and they just liked the name, so the name stuck. That's why it's not called the Thagomizer.
Gotcha. Okay, that's another very interesting bit of trivia.
We're just all about the bits of trivia tonight.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know, it's fun.
Yeah.
This is admittedly, I disagree with the science behind this.
I agree.
And what happened, but because I am a Christian, I do believe in Genesis.
Yeah.
But all that considered,
the Book of Genesis.
Yes, the Book of Genesis.
Fair.
Not the Genesis torpedo that blew up and killed Spock. Or the Sega console that had Sonic the Hedgehog on it.
Well,
even though I do like the Genesis.
Yeah.
Because Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
That's debatable. To your point of being like,
this is the NES. That commercial was against, not the Super Nintendo.
Nuance.
What's that?
Okay, I'm gonna, because one, you just stated something that I think you were kind of incorrect for, and I'm gonna correct you on a Star Trek thing, which is kind of weird.
Okay, admittedly, yes, the torpedo is not what killed Spock.
Thank you.
Granted, I was trying to be funny and moving stuff along.
Yes.
Technically, it killed Ricardo Montalban. My apologies.
Anyways.
Con! Moving on. I did get off topic there, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I do enjoy the visualization of what they depict. Even the single-celled organism section, I thought was visually very interesting in how they showed that, especially since I don't know how much they knew about what those single-celled organisms looked like at the time.
No, they didn't.
One thing I found interesting was they talk about how the dinosaurs may have died from the planet warming and turning into a desert, lack of water.
Yeah.
My understanding is the dinosaurs died because a giant meteor hit the Earth and threw it into a kind of it caused almost an atomic-like explosion that covered the planet in dirt and debris, and that meteorite hit somewhere in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah,
but I got to thinking. I have not found this information out yet. I am kind of curious when they discovered that it was a meteorite that killed the dinosaurs and not the slow death they show in this film.
Right. That would be interesting to know. I don't think that's something you're gonna have to look up eventually.
I did a little bit of tried to do a little bit of research on it yesterday, and I could not find anything. Maybe I was just looking in the wrong spot. Anyone knows, please. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com or write it in the notes.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the comments or however you're watching us. Heck, leave it in a review.
Yeah.
So
kudos if you can do that.
That's real. I guess you could say that's my dislike is the dinosaurs didn't die from a meteorite.
No, but
which goes against what I understood how they died. But maybe they didn't know that's how they died yet. Yeah, so I will let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, just like Elsa. Let it go.
Exactly.
All right.
I think I skipped over your like when I went to my dislike, but
let's go to my like.
Your like and dislike.
Okay, my like. I think you took the words right out of my mouth, quite literally, with this segment. It's very well done. I disagree with the way scientists believe the Earth was created.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that we have a almighty creator who created it all, and everything has a purpose, and everything just wasn't by chance. So,
for those of you who are curious why we are adamant at saying this, while we don't promote, we don't shove religion into the show or places it doesn't exist. When the topic comes up, we will just talk about it, and we will be honest.
Yes. So if you don't like it,
yes, this is not the first time it's happened. It's just been a while since it's happened.
Yeah. So when it comes to our faith, we are going to express it.
We will be honest,
and we're not going to shy away from it.
Exactly.
All right. So
we don't care if you disagree with us. But we do care about you.
Yeah, exactly. It's called love one another.
Yes, amazing that can happen in this day and age.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, continue with your thoughts.
Yeah. So there again, I disagree with how it's scientifically proven, but they do skip a lot around. Because this could have been like a full length animation, and it wouldn't have been very entertaining.
And they stop at what I would have considered the interesting part.
Yeah, because going through the desert, everybody dies.
It's like, okay, but you're not going to go into the rise of mammalian life forms?
Probably not.
I mean, show me how the platypus happened.
Yeah,
I want to see that.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
The scene where
the fact we don't know how the platypus happened.
No, we don't, because God has a very interesting sense of humor.
I'm convinced the platypus exists because it's like, oh, you're going to categorize all mammalian life into certain phylums? Try it with this.
Exactly. Or string it.
It's a mammal. It's a bird. It lays eggs like a snake or a reptile, and it's amphibious. Have fun.
Exactly. Eat your heart out, Darwin. Anyways, the segment in which the fish comes out of water.
Yes.
I was like, okay, that's. Okay. I found the animation very good.
What I remember from my historical geology class,
right?
There was essentially two types of fish around this time. There's the fish we are more familiar with that have the more of the flipper style fins, and then there were the bony fins.
Yeah,
the bony finned fish were thought to be extinct for a very long period of time until a fisherman off the coast, I believe it was off of India, caught one of these things.
Really,
and it was big. So
it's like, okay, you're interesting. Okay, boom.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like Godzilla being caught. But
Gojira, get out of here! Zoinks, man, let's get out of here. Okay, Ricky. Right.
I see that said. I want a Scooby-Doo versus Godzilla movie now. Okay. Anyway, so I mean,
Scooby-Zilla.
So what I'm trying to get at is the bony fish that Fantasia shows crawling out of the sea is at least admittedly the bony fish hadn't been caught by this point.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't caught till like the 90s, 2000s. So this is based on generally what they thought that first fish that became an amphibian looked like.
Right.
And it does happen to resemble to some degree that fish that was caught.
Okay.
Just a little interesting side note. I got you. I did take geology in college.
Okay. Well,
which meant I had to study this stuff. And from what I remember, except for the thing about the meteorite killing dinosaurs, it is accurate.
Okay.
To what scientists believe.
Yeah. And to what scientists in the 1940s believed.
Precisely. Mm-hmm. So kudos for your scientific accuracy.
Yeah.
For what that's worth.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, I did. There are certain segments where this is very good. There again, I disagree with the scientific point, but it's an enjoyable segment. It's just my dislikes are more that it's very abrupt.
I've noted that I tended to prefer it once the dinosaurs showed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was at least interesting.
Yeah,
to watch, but the rest of it was like,
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. There's the
especially the lava planet part at the beginning. That was just not that interesting to watch.
Yeah, it was very well animated.
Yeah,
but it wasn't interesting.
Exactly.
Like, okay, like I've seen this 1,000 times.
Yeah,
but obviously it was made in 1940. It was very
it was probably the first time show, and admittedly, it is set up very well with the music.
Right.
And it fits what the music is doing at the time, at that point in the song.
Yeah,
it's just visually not that interesting because I've seen it 100 times, and that could be literally any planet.
Yeah, quite literally.
Anyway,
yeah, definitely my dislikes would definitely fall into the segments of where. The point where the dinosaurs come in, that's great. That's very well done. The other part, man, but it just ends very abruptly, and there's no real, there's no real conclusion to it.
Yes,
because obviously we know the dinosaurs go extinct.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's my only dislike.
All right, so
at this, the only one dislike.
Yeah, at this point in the film. We enter intermission.
Yes.
Now, thankfully, despite the fact the guy says there'll be a 15-minute intermission,
I
am so thankful that Disney decided not to take him up on his word on Disney Plus.
Yes,
it was like that might have a minute. It was like, okay, thank you for only being gone a minute, or if that, I think it was close to like 30 seconds once they closed the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah, because personally, when I saw that, I was okay. I can either fast forward or go do something because like
come back.
You watch movies like Titanic or Pearl Harbor. Yeah, there's like a 30-minute intermission.
Yeah, but thankfully Disney Plus did not keep that in there. I'm guessing there must be a point in the theatrical version where there's a cut and it cuts back into the title card because we do see the title card at this point. But as the band is coming back on stage after the intermission, there's a brief jam session led by a clarinetist. That's kind of a jazzy sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But as that only goes on for a couple minutes, kind of getting you back into the feel of the show.
Yeah.
Really is what I think that is. But before we get back into the rest of the segments, we get a nice little educational bit.
Yeah.
About how sound works in a film. Literally, this section is called Meet the Soundtrack.
Yeah.
This is a humorously style demonstration of how sound is rendered on film. The animated soundtrack character, initially a straight white line, changes into different shapes and colors based on the sounds played. I actually kind of think this segment is interesting. Oh, I did forget to mention this was directed by David Hand and Paul Satterfield. I thought this was an interesting segment.
It was.
The intermission and the jazz part, maybe not as much, because it wasn't really a full jazz song. It was really more of a little bit of like it says, a jam session.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even go that long.
No.
Literally, it's like a minute.
Yeah.
And it's just long enough for Deems, what's that guy's name? For Deems Taylor to get back to his position, and then he begins the soundtrack, the soundtrack portion, which, as someone who is currently staring at the waveform of a recording podcast,
pretty much,
I will say that is, in some cases, that is very reminiscent of the sound wave.
Yeah.
But not exact, because you can tell this is not. They did not just take the sound wave portion and stick it visually where you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It is It is animation based on that sound wave.
Yes.
Which I think looked interesting and was cool and all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nice kind of a breather after the hardness of especially the last two.
Yeah.
To kind of breath of fresh air, get you back working in after that intermission.
Yes.
Before we get into the next segment. I thought it was just kind of a fun little thing.
Yeah, it was.
And I especially liked how the character actually was a character. It actually had the soundtrack had a personality of all things, as it showed each of these individual sound waves.
Yeah, agree.
So yeah, that was my thoughts on that. What was yours?
My thoughts, kind of in the same vein. It has the it does the sound wave or soundboard or whatever it's called. The
soundtrack.
Soundtrack. Okay, there we go. Use proper word. Soundtrack.
That's what they call it in the show anyway.
Yeah. So the soundtrack, obviously it does have personality. It's kind of lively. It kind of gives you, because after your intermission, it kind of gives you something to kind of build back up to.
Yeah.
And it's a good little small segment. Which is,
it's nothing. Fun. It's nothing to write home about. Not. But it's an interesting little segment. And I especially like when he's doing the low note on the bassoon. Mm-hmm. How on the sides you can kind of see some of the wave kind of go up and down.
Yeah,
like it's flab that's kind of moving.
Right.
I thought that was kind of a nice little effect that most people probably wouldn't see.
Probably not.
I thought it was cool.
Cool.
So,
all right. So into the next
full segment.
Yes.
The next segment was the Pastoral Symphony, which was written by Ludwig van Beethoven, and the animation was directed by Jim Handley. This section, a mythical Greco-Roman world of colorful centaurs and centaurettes, cupids, fauns, and other figures from classical mythology, i.e. Greek mythology, is portrayed to Beethoven's music. A gathering for a festival to honor Bacchus, the god of wine, is interrupted by Zeus, who creates a storm and directs Vulcan to forge lightning bolts for him to throw at the attendees.
Yes.
My like on this is, this is probably the first one outside of, say, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, in which I think we have fun with this. I mean, the animation is nice and clean and stylish. It's a fun little thing. And I swear the donkey that Bacchus is riding through this, I swear that model was reused for Small One. The Don Bluth short that he did while he was still working at Disney.
Oh, okay.
That is actually kind of sort of based on the biblical account.
Oh, yeah, Balaam's donkey. Yeah.
Not Balaam's donkey.
Really?
It was I think it has, I have to look it up.
Oh, okay.
But,
you know what it reminded me of?
Yeah.
Pinocchio.
There's a bit of Pinocchio in this, because he does kind of remind me of the kids that got turned into donkeys.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't like the design of Bacchus.
Yeah.
He's too cartoony for the rest of the segment.
Yeah.
But like I said, this is the one where one portion of it, I have a different song playing in my head than the one that's actually here, because of how I originally saw it. But I do enjoy this.
Yeah,
it's very fun. This is also the segment that got censored.
Yeah,
most
heavily.
For those of you who do not know, even though I think we went into this a little bit a minute ago,
we did, but we didn't fall into it.
Yeah, not even fall into it. Essentially, there is a scene, and I tried to spot where it might have been cut out of here because
it's very
it's very short, and I think I saw where they kind of redid. They copied a segment in order to keep it in line with the music.
Yeah.
But essentially, what happened was there's a segment where one of the elder centaurettes is having her hair done by a younger centaurette who is in blackface.
Yeah, who is based after an African young girl who is a donkey, who has the back half of a donkey.
Yes.
And
her name is Sunflower.
Yeah, Sunflower, and she's basically serving everybody around her.
Right. So there's obviously you have that bit of a slave master sort of a thing going on with this, and she is. Well, it is a black-faced character from what I saw.
Yeah, very
much. Which is
so.
Weird when you consider the zebras that are with Bacchus later on.
Yeah,
but that somehow works better, and I can't tell you why. But I've not seen the full uncensored version of this, although you can find that on YouTube.
Yeah,
I just didn't get around to watching it.
I actually did, and after watching those scenes, because how they edited Sunflower out, because one of them they simply just chopped the frame out, or chopped the frame.
Yeah,
and one of them where it's Bacchus, you call him Bacchus.
Yeah, Bacchus. That's the god of wine.
That's certainly the Roman god of wine.
Right, but they call him Bacchus in this.
They do call him Bacchus?
Yeah.
That's
why it's a Bacchanalia.
Well, that's true. But technically he's Dionysus.
True.
Which is the Greek, which is a Greek telling, so it's Dionysus.
True. I'm just going with... I went with Bacchus because they went with Bacchus.
Oh, okay. It's called...
Deems Taylor calls him Bacchus.
Okay.
Roman but it's actually Dionysus.
Yeah, it's Dionysus.
What are you, a mythological weeb?
Maybe. I like history. I can't help it.
I'm yanking your chain.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Anyway. But I don't like his design either way.
No. Yeah, either Dionysus or
Bacchus, whatever you want to call him.
Whatever you want to call him. But it's a very weird design. And plus...
Yeah.
Bacchus was a party god, and this would be like he's but it's like
this guy just seemed like Otis the drunk,
pretty much. So it's back to my point when it comes to Sunflower. The
poor Sunflower.
Yeah, poor Sunflower. Exactly.
I feel sorry for Sunflower.
I do. Just the fact that when you have Bacchus, who is going up to his throne, and you see the carpet laid out.
Yeah,
that's actually Sunflower.
Yeah,
it'll be like she's prancing along, unfolding the carpet.
Right,
and I thought it was very watching it for the first time. It's like, okay, that's interesting, but now that I have more context, it's like, oh, okay, they really did some really heavy editing.
Yes,
like
now
put the time into doing.
Admittedly,
yeah.
We are two white men. We cannot comment on
the
troubles that our African American brethren have gone through.
Yes.
But you having seen that, how much of that editing did that taking her out really seem to affect? Was it enough that it may have taking her out may have negatively affected the piece? Was she really necessary for the short?
I don't be like, because that's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to say. There again, I am a fan of being an artist myself.
Yes.
That going in and editing your stuff, I think it's kind of a disservice to your own creativity. But understanding the circumstances why it was taken out is totally understandable.
And to be fair, I am fine. Like I said earlier, I'm fine with an alternate cut of it existing with her taken out.
Yes.
I am fine with that, and I am fine reviewing that version for the show.
Yes.
I would still wish we could have officially a full version of this uncut, uncensored.
Yes.
Even if you've got to, I don't know, there's got to be a way to do it where people understand this is not right. This is not. We should not have done this in the first place. This is here for historical purposes only.
Yes.
There's got to be a way to do that. Because I do agree that maybe this was not the best character to have placed here for the roles they put her in.
Exactly.
Maybe one of the cherubs would have been a better choice for
I agree.
many of those shots that we see throughout the rest of the segment.
Right.
Maybe one of the zebra girls, which seemed to be less racist, could have handled rolling out that red carpet.
Yes.
Now, my thoughts is if you self-censor yourself before you quote-unquote release the art.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is perfectly understandable.
Yes.
Because that is part of the creative process. That is you critically thinking about the piece and deciding maybe this is not what I should do.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with an alternate take after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
For a much more appealing version, as long as the original version is somewhere available, even if it's something that is testable.
Right.
Or just not as good.
Yeah, it's something that, like, it's like,
but for historical purposes,
exactly.
I want it there.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of stumbling over my words because I don't want to seem bad.
That's
if that makes sense.
That's understandable.
But, I'll admit this is a controversial opinion because most people say, no, get rid of it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that because that is literally whitewashing. That is trying to get rid of the warts from our past.
Yeah.
And I disagree with that concept because if you don't learn from history, you're going to repeat history whether you want to or not.
Yeah, you're going to do that.
That's really my thoughts. And in some ways, I still want to see the uncut version to see the artist's original vision for this. Yeah. Even if a portion of that is sullied.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I completely understand and completely agree with you on that. So the only point I can really see where Sunflower's like importance in that scene would definitely be her rolling out the carpet for Bacchus.
Strangely enough, I think it even works without her being there.
No, it does. It gives them more of a magical, whimsical feel to it.
No, it feels like it rolled from off screen on screen, like someone
exactly.
Just, done the whole flip of the thing and it rolled out.
Yeah.
And admittedly, most of these changes were made in 1969.
Yes, they were.
So the fact that even those edits look as good as they do, I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I agree. And I think these are more like some of the edits, because originally when they literally started taking the character out, it was literally they were either cutting these scenes because originally they just cut it.
Yeah,
whatever scene she was in, they cut it. But obviously it was rediscovered and re-edited in the 90s, and so they literally digitally removed the character. And
that makes sense.
Yeah,
because the problem with cutting the animation completely out of the film, the film no longer matches the music, and that's 90% of the point of Fantasia is the music and the animation work together.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just cut it out, it means it's not going to match anymore. You're either going to cut part of the music out, which would make all the music nerds mad,
right?
Or you cut. It's just. It was a Kobayashi Maru scenario until we got to a point we could digitally remove the character.
Yeah, exactly. So you're looking at a point of nearly 30 years.
Yes.
30, 25
So
years.
I'm glad it looks as good now.
Exactly.
We've gotten it as close as you can get it without actually having Sunflower there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel bad for Sunflower.
I do.
Because I don't think... This is going to sound weird. I in some cases when I watch stuff like this, I think of the characters as real people.
Okay.
And then I know one character gets cut out for whatever reason, even if the character is an unfortunate happenstance like this is. I feel sorry for the character, despite the fact the character is not real.
Yeah.
But anyway,
understand. All right. So, what is your what is your like on this?
My like?
Yeah.
I thought we kind of went over that a little bit.
I think we did actually.
To make it clear, I love the animation on this. I think this is the this is probably the lightest animation in terms of feel, and it works here. The only thing I did not really like per se is the look of whatever wind god that is. Admittedly, I don't know the names of all the Greek pantheon.
Yeah.
But the wind god that comes up in the storm that's blowing everything, I just don't like the look of him.
Yeah.
All the other of the mythological entities, I think, look good, especially the rainbow goddess, whose name I can't think of either. And I literally had a thought of, oh, look, it's a Skittles commercial. Also, why didn't they go through the rainbow? Why did they go around? Why did they stay behind it the whole time? It's like, that would have been a cool animation thing to show you coming through the rainbow going, anyway. I'm crazy.
No, it's alright.
What is your like and dislike?
Well, one, when you said, like, who was the Greek god of wind? That was Alos. Which I'd never heard of. Be like, yeah, obviously you see
I mean, there's some deep cuts.
Yeah, there are a lot of deep cuts.
Because I didn't recognize half of the gods and goddesses they brought up.
And there was
because the only three gods I actually knew are only on screen for 5 seconds, and one of them looks like they literally reanimated a statue of them.
Yeah, but yeah, like my first likes was the fact to be like there's like deep cuts. It's so in depth with how the Greek pantheons. Because I was actually just watching the Greeks before I came over here. Because there again, I'm a big history nerd. I like mythology. Heck, I follow a lot of history, like other history nerds on YouTube, and how they just like deep dive in some of these. It's fascinating. It'd be like how like the cult of Bacchus back in the day. Just how that origin and everything was so good. I like that. How do I say this? Because when I was a kid, when I was a child, granted, coming from a child's perspective, watching this scene for the first time, it's like, oh, this is how we're starting. Yeah. A bunch of centaurettes bathing. Yeah. I was like, okay.
And that had my very young attention. One of them needs to get some leaves.
Yeah,
she comes out of the water.
They do very shortly thereafter, and it's like, okay,
what took you?
Yeah, what took you so long? So it's a very interesting approach how they took it, because like one, it's beautifully animated. It's a beautifully animated scene, or segment, and it tells a very good story. It tells a very good story that. Because obviously it's Greek, and the Greek gods had a tendency to be like, let's mess with people a little bit, including the woodland forests, the woodland creatures. So let's just mess with everybody because that's what they did,
right?
And I've actually people like, oh, the Greek gods were amazing. It's like, no, they weren't.
No,
they were basically the idea of what humans saw gods.
Yeah. They were literally humans with superpowers.
Yeah, pretty much
what they were.
Yeah, it's like, no, go back and read a lot of the mythology. It's like, do I really want to worship something that's basically me?
Yeah,
it's like, no, absolutely not. And you cared nothing for me? No. Thank the Lord for Jesus Christ. Let's say that.
Yes, I agree.
But with all that said, be like, I love the historical points, and I will get to my one nitpick about this film, or segment of this film, or this portion, segment, whatever, in a minute. But yes, I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Go ahead and give that dislike, because I'm curious.
Okay, my dislike.
Because I kind of already gave my dislike.
Okay, my dislike, and I guess where you were reading yours from, it was how they... what they saw of it. My dislike is how they depict Zeus getting his lightning bolts.
He got them from Vulcan.
Yeah.
Which technically is Roman, admittedly.
Yeah. So,
technically in Greeks, it would be Hephaestus.
Yeah, it's Hephaestus. But it wouldn't be Hephaestus. It wasn't Hephaestus who gave Zeus his lightning. Okay? It was the Cyclops. The Cyclops gave Zeus his lightning bolts. So he wouldn't get it from Hephaestus.
True.
But I understand why they would put Hephaestus in there, because it's a very visual point.
Yeah.
But it's completely, utterly, mythologically wrong.
So they don't even get their mythology
No,
correct.
they get their mythology way messed up.
All right.
Because I was halfway expecting to see either Poseidon or Hades show up.
That would have made some more sense.
That would have made a little more sense.
Well, we'll get Hades later.
Yeah.
In a different thing.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Yeah.
So that was my one dislike. There was just, it's like a little mythology here and there. It's like when they got Greek god of wine.
Bacchus.
Thank you.
Well, that's the Roman god of wine, but yes.
Yes. Hephaestus.
No,
you're
that's the blacksmith.
That's right. Wrong one. I was
Dionysus, I think is what you said earlier.
Thank you, it is Dionysus. Thank you very much. I'd be like, I don't want to sound like an idiot on here. But yes. That would be like when Bacchus, introduced Bacchus.
That's what they call him.
Yeah, they call him Bacchus, which is wrong.
No, I mean, technically, Bacchus would have been based on Dionysus.
Yes.
Technically.
But technically, this is
like Vulcan would have been based on Hephaestus.
Yeah.
But yes, they got it wrong.
Yeah, what basically was the Romans were like, oh, we're too lazy, we're just steal your gods.
Anyway.
Yeah, anyways.
We're getting off on a tangent.
Yeah, a little bit. But the way they used Bacchus and how he, with the animals and all that good stuff was good. I like that part. I really like that part. So, yes, that's my like and dislike.
All right.
Segment.
Next segment. We have two more, and this is already going to be our longest episode.
So far.
Yeah, so far. Dance of the Hours was, of course, the song was written by Amilcare Ponticelli. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The animation was directed by Teehee.
Okay.
That's literally what it says. This is a comic ballet in 4 sections. Madame Upanova and her ostriches are in the morning. Hyacinth Hippo and her servants are the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Elephantine and her bubble-blowing elephant troop in the evening. And Ben Ali Gator and his troop of alligators are night. The finale finds all the characters dancing together until the palace collapses.
Mm-hmm.
I am convinced that the bubbles with the elephants are a direct inspiration to Pink Elephants on Parade in Dumbo.
Yeah, I did see one review where be like, there's parts of this absolutely beautiful as can be, greatly animated,
and you can definitely tell
insanity.
There is a lot of insanity,
definitely in this scene, in this segment.
I remember watching this and going, because it starts off with the ostrich. I'm going, I don't care about ostrich, and they're really pushing the ballet in this version.
Oh yeah,
I'm going, it's ballet. I'm not a big ballet fan. I don't really understand ballet.
No.
I don't understand what the dance steps mean. It's not my thing. And then you're showing the ostrich. It's like, well, ostrich is an okay concept, but I don't care. And then they get to the hippo. I'm thinking, okay, this is interesting.
Right.
It's still it's so slow.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay. At least by this point, I've recognized the song. Because I've heard it 100 different times. And I'm going through it thinking, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then she goes to sleep, and the elephants come out, and it's getting a little bit. It's still slow. It is slow.
It's a slow segment
until the gators come.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh, okay, now we're getting into the more fun part of this because the gators are attacking the hippo. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
that's not how this works. No. The hippo would kill the gator.
Yeah, the alligator. Yes.
But then you get the last bit of it where everything's it's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, this is just fun.
Yeah,
I'm not supposed to take any bit of this seriously.
Right.
I'm just having fun with this because a lot of this is like you got a lot of visual fun things like the gator trying to get the elephant through the pillars and it's stuck for half the segment. It's like, okay. It's like, oh man, it's just pure chaos by the end of it.
It is,
and it's just fun.
It is.
My like is that this is a fun segment.
Yeah,
that you're not supposed to take too seriously. They just had fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
What's your first like? What's your like on this?
What my like is the latter part. I'm kind of like with you when it comes to the former and second of this segment. It drags.
Mm-hmm.
It drags. It's
and some
visually
some of that is
animated
because of the music,
right?
Because the music does not pick up.
No, it doesn't.
To the part everyone knows until like the very end of it.
Yeah. The third act of this segment, be like, I love it because like that one comment said, it's pure insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun, it's entertaining, it's basically what a young boy at my age when I first saw it was like, okay, I enjoy this is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
The first and second is like, this is boring as me, I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get some action, some funny comedy, and finally get there?
I mean, with the ostrich, one of the musical things they do is they have her wink to the camera in time with the music.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
you couldn't have come up with something better?
Yeah.
What is this, Swan Lake? That would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
Than these ostriches, but I don't know. But
either way.
If my dislike is really the ostrich section because it's like the dullest part of this whole segment.
It is.
It feels like it's almost unnecessary because the hippos are present throughout the elephant part,
mm-hmm.
and of course they're all three back there, and even the ostriches are in the finale, but they're in the finale so little, that it's like I don't understand why we were introduced to them.
Yeah,
even though they're the dawn, and we're technically the chaos part is us heading back into the dawn.
Yeah,
based on how it's supposed to work. I almost feel like the ostriches were unnecessary.
Understood.
Anyway,
I'm in the same boat as you with this. The first segment with the ostriches is there again. I don't understand ballet. I don't understand dancing, as some people do. If someone knows more about this than we obviously do,
mm-hmm.
Let us know down in the comments, and wherever you can put it
wherever you can get a hold of us.
Yeah, social media. Just put it down. It's like, hey, this is what this all means. Okay, cool. Give me kudo points or
something. Sell points.
Yeah, sell points.
Whatever those are worth.
Yeah. Somewhere down the line we might do something with them.
Maybe, who knows?
But yeah, the like I said earlier, the first and second half of this segment is just it drags.
Mm-hmm.
It drags. You're waiting for something. You're waiting for the
bottom to fall out.
Yeah, the bottom to fall, or in this case, the hippo to drop.
Yes.
And it was a very dull, boring segment until literally the action happened.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway. That's all I got.
Yeah. One thing that chaos does, I think beautifully, is it kind of leads you into our next segment.
Okay.
By giving you a contrast.
Yeah.
So the next segment is, of course, Night on Bald Mountain with Ave Maria.
Mm-hmm.
This section was directed by Wilfred Jackson. Bela Lugosi is Chernobog's animation model, and he is, of course, famous for playing Dracula in the old black and white Universal Monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
Night on Bald Mountain is written by Modest Mussorgsky, with Ave Maria being by Franz Schubert. The summary is as follows. At midnight, the devil Chernobog awakes and summons evil spirits and restless souls from their graves to Bald Mountain. The spirits dance and fly through the air until driven back to the sound of an Angelus bell as night fades into dawn. A chorus is heard singing Ave Maria as a line of robed monks is depicted walking with lighted torches through a forest and into the ruins of a cathedral.
Yes.
This is a very beautiful segment. The idea of providing this contrast between hell and not hell, I actually kind of like. And you notice I'm not saying heaven because I don't think this is showing heaven.
No.
This is showing earth after the devil has been pushed back
away
into his mountain.
by church bells.
Yes, by church bells. When you talk about the musical choices for this, honestly, I don't know why they chose specifically Ave Maria for this. I think any kind of church hymn that had been classically arranged could have worked for this. I think the choice of Ave Maria definitely shows the more Catholic roots of the people who put this together.
Possible.
Because I did find out that Ave Maria, the lyrics, are actually the Hail Mary thing in the original language.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of cool.
Okay.
And this is the only vocal piece in all of Fantasia.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
That is true.
I think I forgot to mention who the soloist was.
I think you didn't drop it. So
I didn't drop it, and I don't have it written in here. Oh, I do have it. Giulietta Novis is the Ave Maria soloist.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah. The segment is, admittedly, the Night on Bald Mountain segment of the segment is a very harsh animation style and art style. Yeah. The way stuff is pulled out, like it's literally just images that kind of are wrapped around stuff, kind of gives you this feeling of it not being right.
Yeah.
But in a way that works with the film. The segment where you have the fire ladies morphed into the animals.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Okay, that's very well done. It's you get this kind of very harsh. The feeling, the part where his hand, Chernobog's hands are moving, they really do feel like they're giant hands in a way. If that makes sense. Not in the way that it's like a zoomed in hand. It's like big giant hand.
The perspective is
amazing on that.
Huge.
It's weird how it has the feel of it being huge, despite the fact that it's just hands.
Yeah.
Very well. It's very well
drawn hands.
And that whole segment is the only problem I have with it is the beginning is the only part of that song I'll ever remember.
Okay.
Because of how big and dark it is. The rest of Night on Bald Mountain, that song, is almost forgettable for me. That was the refrigerator.
Gotcha.
So, and then you get to the Ave Maria part, and that is kind of a slow bit, but yet you just came off this almost dark chaos of Night on Bald Mountain, so it's a nice, relaxing way to end.
Yeah.
And as Fantasia. And in fact, really, one of my thoughts was, I wonder if in one cut of this film, this is where the end credits were. Because I can just immensely in my mind see end credits scrolling upward through the slow bit.
Yeah.
Just because of how I'm used to seeing them paced. The whole thing is interesting. I think it's very well done, and I enjoy it for what it is.
Right.
What's your like?
My like would go down to the fact that how beautifully this is animated, how they use perspective, and how they use the morphing of characters into other characters, and what have you they create, and it's beautifully made. The point of where the spirits come from, the spirits come out of the graves, and all that be like the transparent. Now I can give them credit where credit is due. The fact that this was made in the 1940s, early 1930s, where
late 1930s.
The late 1930s. I'll admit to say 1930s, late 1930s. How the characters are transparent. How obviously you really can't animate them so well because it looks like the character just kind of just floats along the screen.
Yeah,
but
yet it works.
It works incredibly well.
And you can tell they're working with a limitation, but they did it in such a way it's like it doesn't look like that's how it should move.
Yeah,
but yet it gives you that uneasy feeling you're supposed to be feeling.
Oh yes. People have always described this segment as literal nightmare fuel.
I kind of see some of that.
Yeah. So, like, Chernabog?
Chernabog.
Chernabog is designed, obviously he is designed after Bela Lugosi.
Well, his animation is designed after that.
Was designed.
He really feels like an old Gothic gargoyle.
Yeah, he does. And I love how it's all animated.
Mm-hmm.
The second part was, I enjoyed it. I'll get to my dislikes in a moment, but I thoroughly enjoy it. And no wonder this last segment is so memorable.
Yes,
because it goes from full point, you are like rushing headlong into utter darkness, and then the latter part you're being brought into the light.
Yes,
far light, and it's that nice. I'm not gonna say balance because it's not a balance. It's that contrast. It's that contrast of darkness and light. You know, the light prevails over darkness, and I enjoy that. All right, so
my dislikes. It's hard to say there really is much dislike on this. I mean, like I said earlier, it's done so well that anything I would initially think of as something I didn't like, especially with the Chernabog segments, the Bald Mountain segment, I almost feel like that's intentional because it's supposed to make you feel off center.
Yeah.
I guess if I have the dislikes I would give actually are in the Ave Maria section.
Okay.
And that is the monks.
Yeah.
The monks are very obviously not animated. They are slowly moved across, but they are literally one image that is slowly panned with the rest. And that entire section is really just camera pans.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That can be good and done in a good way. And there is a lot of beautiful imagery in that section. It is trying to give you that calm. You don't want too much in there. And granted, but after every other piece in Fantasia to end on slow camera pans.
Yeah.
As the animation style that you are literally dependent on.
Yeah.
Feels, I'm not going to say lazy because I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it just feels like, couldn't you do something like maybe birds flying through some of this in the background just to give you some visual movement that's still in the motif you're going for?
Right.
I don't know, just something to break it up other than this slow movement.
Yeah. I'm going to fall asleep watching this.
Yes. Which, admittedly, the end of the night, probably not a bad idea. And it's only for maybe 2 minutes.
It is.
Total for that segment. And I like how that's just how Fantasia ends.
Yeah.
But it's like, couldn't you have at least given me, as the song is ending, a nice little flourish of movement of like I said, like a dove.
Yeah, something
flying towards like the sun or the moon.
Yeah, the morning sky or something like that.
Something like that. Just a little bit of imagery. It wouldn't have added much, but it would at least make me feel like peace movement or something. I don't know. Because that's the thing is, ironically, the quote-unquote life triumphing over darkness, the light has the least amount of life in it in terms of animation, and the darkness part is so lively that it's like you can't believe how much is actually there.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that's because you're trying to do the contrast with the calm, but it's like there's so little life in that section. It's like, this is not how I almost expected this to finish. But it still works. I just wanted a little bit of movement.
Agreed.
More than just a slow panning of these monks slowly working their way across the screen. And over the bridge, and then the monks disappear because now we're going into this old cathedral, and
Yeah.
What's your dislike?
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this, I literally lost interest in that. You have Bald Mountain scene, absolutely incredibly animated, and then you have this scene,
camera movements.
Camera movements. That's all you get. Camera movements, and
I have nothing against camera movements.
No, of course not.
But when you do camera movements in a live action scene, you still have the movement of wind through trees and that sort of like this. There's no life. It's like I'm literally staring at stained glass windows.
It's
what it feels like.
Yeah, agreed.
Which works, but it really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I agree. I'd be like this scene. I literally lost it. Literally, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix lunch for tomorrow. Quite literally, I listened to it while I was.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, is it over? I can watch some Nut Grease.
The music is beautiful, but and it does fit, and the action I will say does fit. I just want a little bit of movement to kind of put the icing on this cake.
Yes,
and we just don't get that little bit of flourish in the icing. That would have made it just a little bit better.
Agreed.
Just to give it some movement,
a little bit
of life.
Yeah.
All I'm asking.
Yeah.
When life triumphs over death, I want life.
Yeah.
To actually be doing something and not just sitting there like a bump on a log. Anyway.
Yes.
If I were ranking all the Fantasia segments.
Yeah.
From best to worst.
Yeah.
Literally top of the list for me is Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Okay.
Followed by Night on Bald Mountain. Followed by Hours.
Get jokes.
I get my notes because I can't remember the names of this stuff. Dance of the Hours. Followed by Pastoral Symphony. Followed by Nutcracker Suite.
Mm-hmm.
Then Rite of Spring. And at the bottom, I would put Toccata and Fugue in D minor.
Okay.
How would you rank these?
Mine would go, my top number one would be Pastoral Symphony.
Mm-hmm.
Number two would be The Sorcerer's Apprentice. 3 would be Night on Bald Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 would be Dance of the Hour. Number 3, The Riff of Spring. 6.
You said 3. 3 was Night on Bald Mountain.
Yes, it was. Okay, number 4. Number 4 would be Dance of the Hour.
Uh-huh.
Number 5 would be The Riff of Spring.
Rite of Spring.
Rite of Spring. Number 6 would be Nutcracker Suite.
Mm-hmm.
And number 7 would be our... What was the first one called?
Toccata and Fugue in D minor.
What he said.
Just to round this out, I'm going to give this the entire thing.
Yeah,
I'm giving it an 8.
Okay.
It's a fun experience. I think everyone should watch it at least once.
Yes.
Ideally, if you're having a hard time getting through Toccata, fast forward through Toccata.
Yeah,
we will understand.
Skip.
It's not that it's bad. It's just it's our least favorite.
Yeah.
And it's literally abstract art, which is fine in some instances, but I'm not a fan.
Yes.
But it is a good, well-made presentation. The shorts are all done very well.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, I would say find Night on Bald Mountain, find Sorcerer's Apprentice, and find Pastoral Symphony. Those are probably the 3 best overall. Go and watch those at the very least if you don't want to watch the whole thing.
Agreed.
Because I don't think you actually need the segments, introductions. I think those actually are a bit of a deterrent, or a bit of a not deterrent, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Not sure.
I'm not sure either. It's a bit of it hurts it a little bit more than I think was intended.
Okay.
Sure, if you go to a symphony, you have somebody who talks to you about the music before the music is played, give you an introduction to the songs. Mm-hmm. I know that's what the point of those segments were. It's just get me to the shorts.
Yeah.
Those are what I'm here for. I'm not here to see all this other stuff in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my feelings.
Okay.
What would you rate the movie?
I'm definitely in the same ballpark as you. I'm definitely number 8. Mm-hmm. It's very entertaining. It's one of those films that definitely it's segmented, so you can literally pick and choose which segments you want to watch.
Yes.
And you obviously have our opinion. You have our opinion on what segments we enjoy the most. Now, you may have a different opinion,
and that's fine.
That's perfectly fine. We all have opinions that are good and great. We just have our own opinions. Mm-hmm. That's what we choose. So if you have another opinion, put it down. But like, if you have your own list of what segments you enjoy, put it down in the comments down below, somewhere on social media where we can maybe get a conversation started. You never know.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 8.
So
it'll be like 8.0.
So that brings us to the end of this episode, which means we need to roll for our next movie. And since this was my pick,
yes,
you are the one who gets to roll. Now, I need to talk about what is on our list at the moment, since I got it updated to where it works correctly.
Yes.
Now, sitting at roll number on spot 1, we have Ghost in the Shell. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I am putting The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes, I'm specifically saying that one because there is a Winnie the Pooh that came out right after Tangled.
That's right, yeah.
So The Many Adventures is the one that's actually the 3 shorts edited into one movie.
Oh, okay.
And I've never watched it.
Oh, okay. I'm curious if it's on
Disney. It is on Disney Plus. I double-checked that.
Bam. Okay, easy.
And there might be a reasoning for a lot of my Disney picks in the coming time. Just saying. I may be picking from a smaller pool to make sure we get through some stuff.
I gotcha.
Sitting at number 3, we've got Dragon Ball Z, The Dead Zone. It has been on there for 4 episodes. So it's got 2 more before it starts growing. As if Dragon Ball Z is never growing.
Yeah.
Sitting at number 4, we've got Toy Story. At number 5, we've got Monsters vs. Aliens. This is its 6th episode that it has not been rolled. So if it is not rolled tonight, it will start growing.
Okay.
And last but not least, at number 6, we've got Kubo and the Two Strings. So, Jacob, my friend, roll that dice. And we got Kubo and the Two Strings. Yes. So join us next week for that.
So when we play with the strings.
Yes. This is another nice stop motion one.
I've never watched this movie before.
I've seen it once. In theaters. It's been a while.
Okay.
It's got Matthew McConaughey in it.
Really? All right.
Alrighty. So we'll see you on that one.
All right. Thanks, guys.
And we are stopped.
Yeah, we are stopped.
Saying we had some lost audio. Oh. Let's hope it's not a lot. Because it's nearly 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Hope not. Otherwise, we might be re-recording some things.
Hang on, let me... May not be a whole lot. It's literally...
dead air.
Less than a second.
Wow. Okay.
Just for curiosity's sake. We're not going to be able to hear that with that setup for video. Well, so it's not. It doesn't look like it's much. I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
I bet I can edit around whatever that is.
Right. All right. So there again, thank you guys so much for hanging us for 2 hours and nearly 40 minutes.
Yes.
Of talking about...
this is our longest episode.
It has been.
Even with everything we've done in the course of the past year and a half to keep these episodes as short as possible, this one beat us.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because of how differently it's set up.
Yeah, so much. I think we've had a few people comment. We've had, I think at one point we had like 10 people watching what we're doing. So yeah, there again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like what you've heard, you can go to your favorite podcast directory and look us up with Cellcast, and go listen to more our back catalog. And if you like what you listen to, download, subscribe, and share with a friend or two. You can find us on obviously Facebook. You can obviously find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube.
Yes. Eventually, we will have these the Facebook Lives going to YouTube.
Yes.
I just have not figured. Okay, so anyone who's going, oh, you just have to go click this button and save it. That works if it's on your account that you recorded the video on. We are doing it on the page, which means I haven't found where the buttons hit.
Yeah.
So I need to have it set aside some time to actually do some full research on what I'm supposed to do in order to get this. So, yeah. For now, you're just going to have to deal with the album art of the the recorded version of the edited version of the audio.
Right. All right. So also on either Fridays or Saturdays we do the Cellcast Gaming, and we are currently, I think, oddly,
we are 4 chapters from finishing Final Fantasy VII Remake. Even with that, we are not going to be able to do it this weekend because I will be visiting for Father's Day.
Yeah, and I'll also be out of town. So that'll be like another 2 weeks, or 2 weeks or so.
Probably.
You never know.
Yeah, I think so. Because all we've got left is the climb to floor 60, and all that entails.
Okay.
For those of you who know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Some of us, like this guy, doesn't know everything, so I'm looking forward to it.
Let's just say the climax is coming, and I did a little looking at the soundtrack for Final Fantasy VII because I'm wanting to buy it, and it's still not on Apple Music for some reason, so I'm gonna have to buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
It is 7 discs long. The soundtrack is 7 CDs long, and I noticed one of the last tracks I haven't listened to it yet because I want to hear it in context of the game.
Yeah.
But I did notice the words "One Winged Angel," which tells me we've got a fight with Sephiroth coming.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hopefully. I don't know. Nobody spoiled it for me. I want to find out while I'm playing. Because so far, this game has been excellent.
Agreed.
Also, we have discussed this, and I think we're both pretty much decided we're going to do this.
Yeah.
When we finish Final Fantasy VII Remake,
yes,
we are going to release essentially a short of us talking about it.
Yeah.
We are not video game reviewers. We're going to be primarily just giving it's going to be more like a reactions episode. But we will be talking about the story, and I will be kind of geeking out over everything.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Because so much of this is so good. But I don't think we're to a point where we want to announce what our next game is yet. But it is definitely not going to be as serious as Final Fantasy VII Remake is. And for those of you thinking, we're going to jump into that just announced today Kingdom Hearts game called Melody of Memories? No. I don't know how that is going to fit into the chronology as a whole. And when we hit Kingdom Hearts, we are going in order.
It's going to be a long trek.
Well, we're not going to do it one right after another. We're going to break it up.
Right.
But we are going to do it in order. And I am going to be playing on Proud Mode on every single version.
Yeah.
Which means I'm going to have my butt handed to me a lot. But I want to do it that way so that at the end, we unlock all the secret videos that lead us into the next games.
Excellent.
Especially since I have not seen most of them.
I got
you.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to follow us playing through Final Fantasy VII and other games.
Join us on Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch. SoCast Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it.
I think that is.
I think so.
And we are very tired.
Yeah, it is.
I'm fairly certain as this review has gone on, we've gotten a little bit more and more loopy.
Just a little bit.
I may actually have to listen to this whole episode when I review it, when I edit it, but we'll see.
So, yeah, because right now we are sitting at probably the longest episode we've done so far.
Probably.
Now, obviously, we're going to do some. There's going to be some.
There's going to be some editing, but the review section by itself, prior to editing, is, if I can get the thing to go over, I think it's over 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just short of 2 hours.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, most of the time when we do the review section, it is maybe an hour and 15 minutes before I edit it down.
Yeah.
I think the longest prior to this, once we added in the like and dislike system, I think the longest we got was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then I got it down to an hour and 15. This beats out it's probably going to beat out every single episode we've done, including, what was it, the 2 hour episode? No, it wasn't 2 hours. Was it Spider-Man that went super long? I think so. I think it was Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it was long.
So this might not beat that, but we're going to be close.
Yeah, we were at 2 hours now.
Yeah.
The stream itself is at 2 hours and 45 minutes.
But there's a lot of us cutting in and out on that. So
yeah,
and I know there's a big section in here that I'm going to cut out when you had to get something to drink. But yeah, I think that's about it.
I think so,
and I think I'm about to fall asleep.
Same here. So yeah, thank you everybody who tuned in, who commented, because obviously you're a few that commented.
Yes, Josh Adams has been very active in my watch party.
Same here.
I think most of that you have commented on. I did like his hashtag, Release Song of the South. Like the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, kind of like the Snyder Cut. Oh my gosh.
I do like one thing he said on here. It says, the abstract one at the beginning could be described as slipping into the dream where the rest takes place.
That just makes sense.
Maybe not. Maybe. I will say, it still bored me to death.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Now, when it comes to release the Song of the South,
I want it only for historical purposes.
Exactly.
I want to watch it one time in a fully cleaned up version so I can say, okay, I understand. I understand why people might not are not happy with it. I at least want the animation stuff back.
Well, most of them we have.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not released.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus.
No, it's not.
I would at least like the Brer Rabbit stuff put back on there. I would love to see the whole thing, but I would at least like the Brer Rabbit parts put on there. But I don't know if we're gonna. I don't think we're even gonna get that because they have pretty much put all of that aside. Said, yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And I feel sad that we're in a place where we can't even look at our warts and appreciate what the warts gave us.
All right, I agree.
But anyway,
yeah. So I think maybe at some point in the future they might release it, but
maybe
at this point in time in history,
no, right now
do not do that.
I almost feel bad about bringing up Sunflower at this point.
Yeah,
but I feel like we couldn't talk. I feel like we couldn't review Fantasia without talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
it's a historical part of the film. So
yeah, and it is a part of our history.
Yeah, exactly.
And like we said in there, if you do not learn, if you can't learn from history, you will repeat it.
Yeah, we're doomed to repeat it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's always like we reiterated earlier, the fact that it's great to learn about history, warts and all.
Yes.
So yeah.
So yeah, I think that's going to finish it up. I'm about to hit end live video so I can start cleaning up and put this thing to bed.
All right.
Join us next time for Kubo and the Two Strings. It'd be guarantee you this will be a much more fun episode.
Yeah, and a lot shorter.
Episode than what we got this week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. And I'm just knocking everything off on the floor.
We're all tired.
Yep. Okay. Ending the video
now.